chamber of Vhagar. Don't be afraid, there are no ghouls here. Only Vhagar. That's right. I was calling this war a series of reprisal killings. It's actually just one long series of Vhagar dinings, Vhagar atrocities. Nana is hungry, Nana is fed. That's how it works. And I have my guests here, Grey Waste Tim, and oh my goodness, we have a new person, Heidi from Costume Co. Hello.
Hi.
Tell us your YouTube channel. Do you have one of those YouTube channel things? You do, don't you?
Yes, I have a channel called Costume Co. where I analyze costumes in TV shows and movies, and probably a lot on Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon.
Well, shout out to Girl Nettles, who could not be with us tonight and who is usually here, but we are very happy to have you on, and so that we can all weep together. This so begins the weeping. Tim, I feel like you're going to come in hot here. I just want to hand you the mic, buddy. What you got?
We're out here drunk driving dragons, apparently. Oh, it's nice to see where the budget for this whole season went, apparently. But sad that we finally get Sunfire in all his glory, and he's already down squirming on the ground.
That's rough. I wish we had gotten. Yeah. So let's saddest dragon death of Maynard Plum. Let's go. Our options are Meleys, Sunfire, and we'll throw Arax in there, just to remember Arax. We've got 3 dead dragons already. Scene of the week is not going to be as useful as a question this week, but which dead dragon made you weep the hardest? And I guess Sunfire's not dead, but we'll still throw more, potentially mortal. It's unclear, kind of a wreck, kind of a puddle there. Yeah. So
He's got some life in him. He's essentially bleeding lava. That's basically what fell on those guys with the blood rain.
Cancel the poll. It's definitely Meleys. I guess Sunfire's not dead, so. And Arax, that's a long time ago. Let's just weep, I guess, for Meleys and Rhaenys. Oh, there was a person too. I knew I was going to be sadder over the dragon. I was sad over Rhaenys, though. That was a pretty epic death. In fact, maybe that's the way we need to think about this. This is a story of tragedy. Like I've said, I joke many times. Most of the dragons are going to die. Most of the people are going to die. That's what this story is. It's a tragedy story. It's very Shakespearean. So I guess really what we should think about is like celebrating the epicness of the deaths, really. So she died as she lived. There's a line in the book, with a glad cry and a crack of her whip, she urged Meleys on. That was the moment where she like could have left and decided to attack, and she whispered it. She's like, yeah, let's do this. Knowing full well that, like, yeah, it's something to go attack Nana. We'll see how that goes. If you want a Nana Vhagar shirt, you can check out our Bonfire store, link below. But yeah, that was an epic death with the dragon. They gave us the little slow-mo moment where the dragon's kind of lights going out of its eyes. Very, very dramatic. And like I said, the neck is one of the vulnerable spots, especially with a jaw as big as Nana Vhagar. A lot of boiling dragon blood. A fine detail that I appreciated. What was your quick reaction, Heidi, to what we just saw?
Yeah, it was absolutely horrifying. I was saying to my husband, why doesn't she just leave? Like, just go, just go. Like, she knows that things are going to go bad for her. And then that was sort of a big surprise. I actually thought that Meleys, that the head might have come off. Like at one point it looked like the bite was so deep that the head might have come off, but her looking at her dragon and sort of acknowledging, I'm so sorry. Like that's what I felt like. She was apologizing to the dragon and then just sort of let herself do a free fall down to the ground. She knew they were done.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking. It was really heartbreaking.
Yeah. I felt the same because when Vagar had Melee's neck, like her jaws wrapped around Melee's neck, I was even whispering to myself like chomp, chomp, because I thought it was going to be a repeat with Arax. I thought we were going to get another chomp, and then and then we would see like the head drop. But I guess they kept it a bit more dignified than that. But yeah. But it's definitely the end.
A lot
And
of
if we saw
decapitations, I guess, right? The baby last week who appeared, or 2 weeks ago, that appeared in the dream, and then Damon's dream decapitated Rhaenyra, Kristen Cole decapitated the faithful Lord Darkland, rest in peace, who died well. Yeah, it's rough. I just knew this was going to happen. Here we are going, why aren't the characters more bloodthirsty? Why don't they want to go to war? Because even just watching fictional war is like traumatizing. So imagine if it was real. Yeah. But yes, this is a Vagar killing spree so far. Oh, did you boys want a war? Did you want some trouble? Yeah, sorry. Let's try to mix up the vibes here. Yes, that was, I think Viserion dying in Game of Thrones got me more than these did, but I was definitely very emotional. Would you say this was more or less sad than Viserion's death? Heidi, sorry.
Oh, I think
sorry.
I think less sad. I agree with you on that one.
Okay.
Absolutely. I wasn't as invested in her dragon. I was invested, I feel like, in Rhaenys.
Mm-hmm.
She's been a really solid character for 1+ seasons. I think the actress did an amazing job. I wasn't crazy about her headpiece. I'll just throw that in there.
I thought it was going to be like a
channel.
wind mask when we saw it from behind. The first shot we saw of it was from behind, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. It would be windy up there. And there's dragon fire sometimes, so you might want facial protection. We'll get to that.
A visor. Yeah, I was saying, I think actually they should wear goggles. I'm not sure why, like a medieval equivalent to a goggle
It'd be hella
of some kind.
steampunk and cool if they
Because
had
of all
goggles.
the smoke and the ash and everything that gets in their eyes, and even the fire. So no, it was just, I think it was supposed to be like a French hood in the same way that Alicent wore one and young Rhaenyra wore one in early season 1. So it's sort of a historical thing, but I didn't like it.
It had a little war nun vibe to it.
Yes.
Yeah. It seemed like it was playing off of Alicent's and Rhaenyra's various headpieces. Young Rhaenyra, when she was not coronated, but whatever, made the heir.
Yeah, the fealty. Yeah, exactly.
The
Agreed.
goggles would be cool. Give us the steampunk goggles. We got saddles and stuff. If we can have saddles, we can have goggles. That's my opinion. So Nettles will be back next week. She had
Absolutely.
something to do. Yeah. She did not get tired of beating my brains in the various disputes that we have and be like, I'm moving on. That's not what happened. She'll be back next week. Tim will be gone next week, and then we'll have somebody else interesting on in his place. But I'm going to name my daughter Rhaenys now, says Marcus Wynn. And let me grab a couple of these super chats that have come in. Just right off the top, see what the fans are saying, what you get our pulse on the pulse of you guys have a pulse, and we're going to take it. Eve Best. Yes, Rhaenys was my fave. Now she's dead. It's more of that coming, Marcus Wynn. But yes, whatever we want to say about Rhaenys, let's say it. We need some Children of the Forest right now. Resurrect some of these dead people, maybe, huh? No goodbye scene between Rhaenys and Corlys. Oh no, I think that was the goodbye scene. I mean, they had a pretty good scene together, and then he showed up to the council, which we'll talk about. Hashtag the patriarch. Oh, man's here. We got to listen now. Okay. That was still, Corlys is cool though. And then can't stay, but we'll rewatch tomorrow. Big shout out to Rhaenys. Man, oh man, what a performance. Jenny of Old Stones. I totally screamed. Oh my God, it's Nana. When we saw Almond. Yeah. Almond and Nana. Nana with her almond milk. Watch out, That's the joke. Almond milk. Nana's with the almond milk. Okay, got to stay healthy. Strong bones. I'm going to name my daughter Rhaenys. Welcome to Squisher. The way they set up the bond between Aegon Sunfire and Rhaenys Meleys and how they played that out on the end of the episode as they faced their respective fates really got me in the feels. Yeah, that was well done. With Aemond as the chaos agent in the middle. That was, yeah, you know, we didn't see Sunfire before, but that moment when Aegon goes up to Sunfire and they're like nuzzling there, it's like, oh, the one pure connection that Aegon has in the world is to his dragon. The dragon is cooing and happy to see him. And yeah, I think the saddest I was in the episode, I'll let you go, Tim, is when Sunfire got raked on the belly, the very first wound. I was just like, Tim, yeah, go ahead, man.
Oh, I said like it was the head boop for me when he goes to see Sunfire and he's drunk and happy, and then Sunfire just like gives him like that little headbutt into his chest. And it's just like, oh, it's like the way my dog would greet me when I got home from school. So to know what was going to happen next to him, it's just like, no, my precious little boy, we've been waiting to see you for so long, and this is what's going to happen now.
She's so beautiful. Yeah, I'm sad, but you know, your Nana's hungry now, so what can you say? All right. Sunfire. Yes, she Sunfire is, I said she, we don't know, I guess, whatever. They all, I think all pronouns are okay with the dragons. Until they lay eggs, no one knows. That's the real truth. So, oh man. It's not fair to the dragons, is it? Is it? No. It's kind of just...
Or the horses.
Or the horse. Exactly. I was just going to say the horses.
The poor horses. Oh my God. Yeah.
A lot of horses and men were burnt. The battle itself was well done. I liked how they've got the action on the ground and the sky sort of interplaying, almost Star Wars vibes. You know, Star Wars always has a good setup where there's action on the ground and there's things happening in space or in the sky above, and there's things happening back and forth. So, yes, when the dragons fall, you want to run. And in fact, it looked like Meleys breached the walls of the castle with her fall. And then you see the people charging into the breach. Careful, don't step on the boiling puddles of dragon blood. You saw people get burned by the dragon blood with the first wound. Also, it rained down and somebody got burned right in the face. So that was rough.
Yeah. Raining blood from a lasser in the sky. He basically did Slayer.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, some got stomped on.
I'm sorry. All right.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we saw another guy got stomped on, just like when Caraxes stomped on that guy.
Yeah.
Not as effective in slow motion.
It happened again with Vhagar. Yeah.
Yeah. I like those. I like those when they're fast. But
David, I was going to say that the other battle, I was kind of like, because we keep seeing no battle, so it was sort of okay. I guess they're keeping all of the money for this one battle of Rook's Rest, what have you. But the other battle, I was like, okay, here's another battle we're not seeing. We're just seeing the results and everything of that. So this was very, very satisfying for me.
I kind of like
see the way it played out in Edgemont.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done. There's a delay, folks.
Sorry, go ahead.
By the way, there is like a little lag. We don't try to talk over each other usually. I felt like, oh gosh, now my brain is blanked out. I'm sorry. Say your point again, Heidi.
Oh, just, like for instance, in the last episode, we didn't see the battle, that we just see the results of the battle. And then we just had another battle and we're only seeing the results. And then I think, it must be a financial, they've put all their eggs in this one basket. And I think, like you said, it was very effectively done. You've got the air, you've got the land, you've got the people in the castle, lots of action happening, people on horses. So it was an amazing battle for me as a viewer.
Yeah, tonight we got to
even though I'm looking for the armor and everything, I'm looking at the armor going, oh, look at that armor.
Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, I said, yeah, like tonight we finally got to see where the budget went. Like it does seem like everything was leading up to this big battle. They needed all that money for all the dragon CGI that we were going to get tonight. All of the propping, all of the choreography, everything like that. It's like you definitely see like this is where they spent that big nugget of money that's built up for this, and hopefully it's worth us only getting 8 episodes for the season.
Well, I will just say that no, I don't think it was meant to be on the scale of the Battle of the Bastards or even Dany's attack on the baggage train, although I think that's more of a comparison to this. There's going to be a lot of battles. This is the first one. I think they are pacing themselves. Rook's Rest is not a big battle compared to like some of the guys when they get to Tumbleton and stuff, Bitterbridge, the Fish Feed. Like there's way bigger stuff coming. So this was very well done for what it is, but it was not meant to be Battle of the Bastards level. They did use a lot of budget on it. Obviously, anytime you've got that many reenactors, running around in costume and armor, the Gawain's armor, very nice.
Oh, the best.
But I was just going to say, Heidi, to your point, this is the second time now they've done this, shown us the aftermath of a battle. I liked it better now. Like, it's starting to build up like this trail of the dead. Like, you're following after this war, and it's like, oh, the war did it again. It's more dead kids. Kids, young men, dead all over the field. An entire town and countryside's next generation of fathers and field hands and craftsmen dead now in the field feeding the crows. Fresh widows, kids without fathers now. And, of course, following the battle, there'll be sacking of the cities, and there'll be violence visited on the women and children and old people who stayed behind as well. That's coming, and less of that yet. That's coming, but it's part of war just in general. So, like, seeing these aftermaths, it's like following a killer. I feel like it's like you're a police detective and you're seeing these crime scenes. Like, oh, it happened again. And you're like, oh, this is going to keep happening and get worse and worse. And then by the time we catch up to the killer, the war, we are now in the battle and we see the horror unfolding. And we're like, yeah, I knew it was bad. I knew this killer was a messed up person. And here he is. He's showing us his war face. And it is brutal. So that's kind of how I think it was really well done, especially the 1-2 punch within this episode and building on the last episode. So Burning Mill, we open again, a little bit of aftermath, and then finally, like I said, we catch up to the killer and we grapple with this face of what's going on, and the dragons are dying, and oh my God, yeah. And we're like, why did we make this show? Why did we watch this show? Can we undo this? I almost was just like, yeah. So, okay, and you guys are both polite. I got to remember, I got to cue both of you up. I count on Nettle sometimes to just like be ready to go. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go back to these super chats, and then we'll get to some of these questions. Yeah, we got a bunch that came in. God bless you. Appreciate you, the support and the good questions. Yep. Feel my pulse so hard, Dave. Ooh. Oh, that's right. I said I was going to take the pulse of the fandom. I'm here acting like this innuendo is coming back at me from the chat. I just look in the mirror. Okay, that's my own innuendo. Very good. Our pulse is racing. I think that's the answer. Rhaenys' nods of approval and her dagger eyes were epic. The experience and respect through season 1 and season 2 were palpable. The queen who woulda. Now that you point that out, I am reminded of Emilia's acting as Dany in the Fateful Bells episode that we don't really need to go back into. Of course, I'm on record as not enjoying the ending itself, but of course, everyone is on record as enjoying Emilia's acting. And so the emotions that Emilia was portraying on Dragonback, which you remember how they're doing this. They're on the buck in a green room with, people around them and stuff and trying to pretend that they're in the scene. And we've seen shots of Emilia acting that final scene. And it's just a room of blue screens. And she's sitting there emoting all this stuff. So it's very interesting, Eve Bast as Rhaenys, portraying very different emotions, but doing a lot of acting on Dragonback. So what did you think of that, Heidi? the contrast.
Yeah, no, I think it was, I agree. Like, I'm assuming that Eve Bass also was in the screening, like on the buck. But that must be extremely challenging. But yeah, it sort of felt a bit different. So for Dany, when she's sacking King's Landing, and she is furious, angry, feeling, betrayed. But in this case, I think Rhaenys had sort of a different motivation to the whole thing. I think obviously she was going there instead of Rhaenyra. She thought she was the better person to go. They didn't want to put Rhaenyra at risk, and so she was doing her duty, I think, in this case. And I think even with her death, she still did sack a big chunk of the army. So I think in that case, she did succeed in it to a certain extent, at any rate.
Why do you think she turned around and went back for Vhagar when she could have left?
I don't know.
This is my question from the
maybe,
chat. Maybe this might be the question
yeah.
of the episode. Tim, what's your take on it?
Well, I think she went back because she knew she had to. She couldn't leave it like that. She couldn't leave Vhagar in full prime because, as they had said, Dragonstone, with Rook's rest taken, Dragonstone is now completely cut off. Baela's back at Dragonstone, her granddaughter. Jace is back at Dragonstone. If she leaves, and Vhagar and Aemond continues the chase on Vhagar, because Vhagar's prime, Vhagar hasn't really taken any damage. Vhagar's basically at full health yet. Like, Aemond can continue the fight, and Dragonstone is basically going to be sitting ducks. I mean, you might have Cyrax, you might have Vermax, but they're not prepared. And then we already see, like, the Black Council's been kind of useless up until this point. Like, the last 3 episodes, every Black Council meeting has felt the same. Until finally now that we've finally established, like, okay, we're at the point of no return and Rhaenyra is on board for war. But they still aren't completely prepped for that if Aemond is to continue on. And then with Rhaenys, like, yeah, she took out a huge part of the army too, but it's like, you got to remember too, like, the first attack wave were the Darklands, Rosbys, and Stokeworths. Like, Cole and Aemond, in their war prepping, essentially, they purposely set that up because, as far as they're concerned, even though they have now declared for Aegon, because they were originally for Rhaenyra, they're looking at them with side eye, and that is why they're making them the first attack wave.
That is a very important point to raise, and I think as you're talking and I'm listening to these points and I'm looking at the chat, I think the bottom line is that she couldn't abandon her troops. She went there to support the castle. If she flies away, Vhagar can just burn the people in the castle and it's a rout and she's a coward. So basically, I think that's the bottom line. Like, there are various motivations that are playing around, but bottom line is, like, you can't run from the field. It's like, just like a soldier, it's like, oh, well, they had a bigger army. Well, so you ran? You can't do that. She's there to fight. And so she's hoping. Meleys is a big dragon. That's the thing. You could see, like, Meleys is not a runty dragon. If Meleys had been able to get a strike in on Vhagar by surprise, but instead it's another Nana sneak attack. Y'all don't see me coming, do you? Your old Nana walks softly, carries a big stick now. Yeah, how does Vhagar keep sneaking up on people?
Oh, yeah, because
Well, I guess what... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, because Vhagar is like the Damon Dominus Rex. The way she's, even though that's such a huge dragon, the way she just lays down as low and as still as she can, and she blends in with the leaves and the trees and the moss. And it's like, you would not think something that huge could camouflage itself. But you take that and then add also to just how silent she is, despite being so big. And it's like, God, that thing is a killing machine. That you could be so big, so heavy, so ferocious, and yet so quiet and so invisible. It's absolutely scary. Like, people, I saw chat was comparing it to a kaiju, and it really is like a horror movie. Like it reminds you of like Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, these big guys who come out of nowhere, and it's like, how the hell did you creep up on everyone without making a sound? And Vhagar is capturing that essence at 20 times the size.
I kind of like it. It goes along with her not having horns either. You know, she's just like big and silent, and she likes to try to sneak attack you and get you with the one chomp, because she can't really handle. She's not agile. You know, the other once she's in a fight with a faster dragon, it could run circles around her. You saw when Meleys originally attacked Vhagar, Vhagar reached out and just with the edge of her claw, caught Meleys. And then they got tangled and Vhagar started mauling her. But if Meleys hadn't have been caught, she could have quickly pivoted around and maybe got Vhagar on the back of the neck, which is probably what she wanted to do. But that didn't. So yeah, this strategy kind of makes sense. Vhagar sneaks up, tries to get a big chomp. She's trying to engage. Kind of like the Mountain. When you think of Oberyn versus the Mountain, like Oberyn's trying to keep his distance because he knows once you get in close, it's tough. So
it reminds me of like when I was growing up, I had a python as a pet, and anytime I would feed them live mice, and as it got bigger, live rats. And of course, sometimes you just watch. You get that morbid sense of curiosity, and I would watch these snakes be so perfectly still to the point where sometimes the mice or rats would come up right to their face as if they didn't, because they were just so perfectly still. It's like they weren't even there. And then comes the strike. And that's what Vhagar's doing with the chomp attack. She's just so quick, so silent, coming out of nowhere. It's more like a snake than a lizard.
I love this thought by Colleen Noonan. Perhaps Visenya trained Vhagar to do sneak attacks.
She seems like she probably would. Mm-hmm. That might have been something. That might have been something she did growing up with that dragon.
We're probably just filling in the gaps here with our creativity, but I like the idea. That's really good. So, and we are just going to keep going with the super chats here. We'll get to these sections, but I've got lots of great stuff coming in. So let's just respond to these, including a Girl Nettles super chat, which we'll get to. Let's see here. Okay. Up to there's multiple girl. Thank you, Girl Nettles. That you did not need to do that, but we appreciate you. Today is Rhaenys' birthday, IRL. Yeah, I saw that. Because we know when she was born. Look at all these. Okay. We got that. No goodbye scene. What was that, Heidi?
Oh, no, I was just going to say earlier when we were talking about the, like, you know, whether Rhaenys was cutting and running kind of thing. I guess how I was looking at it is, you know, so Aemond is much younger than her. I think, like, as an older, you know, I'm probably about the same age as Rhaenys is. So I'm thinking, here I have another, you know, a much bigger dragon. I'm much older. She looked very weary. I don't know if you found that. And I guess what I had thought is she could go to Dragonstone and alert them what had happened. That's sort of, I guess, where my thought was on it. And maybe they could come back, but maybe it wouldn't be enough time. I'm not sure. But she just looked like she was kind of done. And I was thinking back to the first episode where she had been going out doing scouting, and she came back and she's, I'm exhausted. Meleys is exhausted. We need to rest and everything like that. So yeah. I think she's not a young woman. Whereas Aemond is, like, you know, in his early 20s, I think, or maybe even a teenager.
Yeah, I think they have played up that thematically. Like, she's giving her last bits of advice to everyone. She's kind of tired. She doesn't necessarily think she's going to survive this war. Mm-hmm. They referred to going to battle again, which implies that Meleys and Rhaenys have been to battle before. That's not recorded in history, although I tend to think there's probably little skirmishes and things that we maybe don't hear about in Fire and Blood. So I'm curious if they'll fill in that. It's probably just a line they put, and we should assume there was some skirmishes somewhere. But she wasn't involved in a major battle that we know of. I've never cried so hard over a fictional character, on par with the death of Littlefoot's mother in Land Before Time. Just trying to make everyone cry even more. Lady Amaranth.
Aww.
Mark of Talabek land, is Aemond an enemy of the crown now? How will the story continue now that he's attempted to kill the... I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see any attempted regicide. Did you, Tim?
That was friendly fire. He got in the way. He wasn't wearing his orange vest. Like, no. But yeah, that is the question of how much do we put up to this being friendly fire, and how much do we look at that being intentional? And given last week and the way that Aemond had just completely dunked on Aegon too before the at the council meeting, when we learned that Aegon doesn't know how to speak Valyrian, like it's just showing like all of Aegon's inadequacies.
So that was a very funny scene. You get this long soliloquy from Aemond in High Valyrian, and you're like, yeah, we're not surprised that this is coming out as well as it is, right? And then pause, and Aegon says something totally broken about, should I war make you? I brother shall? Like, what?
Whereas with Aemond, I had to look up the definition of subrequet, and it means nickname. But I was like, man, that's a $50 word, and you're saying it in High Valyrian.
Yeah, it's French, sobriquet. And yes, we're using the $20 words in High Valyrian. Oh, and you could just see Aemond shrinking.
I got the impression...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I got the impression, just based on the council meeting and going forward, that Aemond was full intent on killing his brother. Completely regicide.
I think he was
even,
planning
do you
on
remember when
minimizing him.
Aemond said... when Aegon said, "Oh, thank God, like, he's here. My brother's here."
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that?
No, he
Rhaenys
looked upset. I thought he was
even
mad.
Touched at all?
I thought he was mad that when Aegon showed up. Didn't he curse?
No, I think he said no. Oh, no. I mean, Aegon said, "Oh, thank God." He probably was pissed off that he showed up.
Yeah, no, okay, I'm
sure.
sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, I was thinking about the moment when Aemond looked up and saw that Aegon was there, and he was like, because Aemond was definitely, you could see him pushing his brother aside and planning with, the smallest council with Kristen Cole and all this. And then, like I said, in the scene, as he builds up this soliloquy in High Valyrian, you could see Aegon shrinking and becoming smaller and just like being whipped, like a cur. And it's the inverse of the brothel scene and other scenes where we've seen Aemond allow himself to be teased and stuff. But I just want to say, the plan wasn't for Aegon to show up. Aemond was going to pull the thing and kill Meleys, and that was supposed to be that. So when Aegon shows up, I think Aemond's reactions are something like, "You arrogant idiot. Like, you're such an idiot. You got bored. You came out here. Fine. Go ahead and see what happens. And I'll run along in a couple minutes and clean up your mess." And so when he saw them tangled, just hit the button, the Jacaris, just burn it all.
It's
yeah.
Opportunity.
Yeah, but to be fair to Aegon, they haven't been keeping him in the loop. They haven't told him anything. They refer to it as like a shadow council that they have, the two of them.
You gotta keep yourself in the loop, man.
Cole and I mean, I honestly blame Alicent for this whole thing, to be honest with you. The scene that they had, I don't know if you want to get into that at all, but I blame Alicent. I mean, I was talking about this on our stream, what a terrible mother she is. She's so terrible. And then that scene when he said, "Well, what should I do?" And she said, "Nothing." And then, of course, he's a spirited young man. He's thinking, "Well, no, fuck you. I'm going to do something. I'm going to go put my my Valyrian armor on and get on my dragon, even though I'm wasted."
Don't say the F word.
Oh, sorry. Do you get demonetized if I say that?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry, David.
It wasn't me for once. I've been keeping
sorry.
my language pretty clean the past few
Whoops.
weeks.
Sometimes we can get away with them, but yeah, a lot of times the F word will do it. You can't say the C word, the F word. There's a couple.
No, but
okay. Yeah, I'll be good.
But no,
Heidi, you singed my ears. Sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
No, you're right. Like, yeah, the verbal beating that, like, because Aegon's getting it from everyone in this episode, but then for Alicent to just be like, it was my hope that maybe when we put you on the throne and you would have the chance to sit with these men who have earn their position, that maybe you would learn something. And then he's like, well, what would you have me do, mother? And he's like rocking on the chair too. If you notice that, it's like a kid on a little rocking horse. And then she's like, do what needs to be done. Nothing. And it's just like, my God, Aegon.
Okay.
Like, go ahead. Yeah.
So, okay, well, I was just going to say the first part of it was good. He needed that cold bucket of water. Like, you should be begging these people for advice. Then that put him in check, and he was listening at that point. And then she gave him nothing. Instead of giving him something to latch onto, she just was like, do nothing. You're useless. Nothing. Like, that was the, bad parenting. Bad. And of course, we always have to say, like, she learned from the best. Otto Hightower, similar to Tywin Lannister, just trying to turn his children into political tools, not addressing their emotional needs. And then, of course, they turn out to be bad parents and do kind of the same thing. So there's a lot of finger pointing to do on Team Green. Cole and Aemond plotting without the king. Larys is supposed to be the master of whisperers. Why isn't he informing the king about their plotting or about Alicent's affair with Kristen, which he obviously does know about, very obviously does. And he's not keeping Aegon informed. But that's the thing about this political game is, like, even within the same team, everybody's got their own interests. And we see disharmony in different forms on both sides. And it is hard. Yeah, like, think about... what I'm trying to think about is, like, working with family. Like, if anyone's ever done that, or even just working with your best friends, sometimes it's better to keep your friendships, and your professional relationships professional. Otherwise, you'll end up ruining the friendship and the professional relationship. It's sometimes hard to put personal feelings aside and just say what needs to be said when it's your family member. And so you see some of that with Team Green. There's so much emotion flowing in these council meetings. It's not just a rational, strategic kind of a thing. Go ahead, Tim.
So Aegon has the prophecy. He's the one with the prophecy dagger right now, right? Like, is it in his possession? Okay, so we've seen,
or
like,
Aemond took that, yeah.
Yeah, so we've seen the past few episodes of the symbolism of everything about the Conqueror is ill-fitting on this Aegon. He has the Conqueror's crown. It doesn't fit him right. He's wearing the Conqueror's armor. It doesn't fit him right. He doesn't know the prophecy. Rhaenyra is telling Jace about the Song of Ice and Fire. He doesn't know that if he holds that blade to the flame, that the glyphs will light up, and he'd be able to read it. But now, with the realization that he can't speak Valyrian, he wouldn't even if he did know it, he wouldn't even be able to read the prophecy, even if he knew about it. So, like, everything is just hammering home this idea, like, you are not supposed to be the king. And then for him to go down like that, and for Aemond, the one who is showing what it should be, what one would think of with, like, the Conqueror and what it means to be a Targaryen king, is really, like, hammering it home. But then we're left with this question now of, when we get to our next episode, what happens from here? Is Aemond the heir, or is it because Jaehaerys is dead? He has a daughter, but this whole thing is built on the idea that a male comes before a daughter. So, and that means that Aemond is the presumptive heir. So it's like, what's going to happen next? Are the waters going to get even more murky with Aegon out of commission?
I think they might get less murky. I think people follow strength. And they reminded us in this episode how much men like to listen to men. Like, with that scene, like, Rhaenys is sitting there saying what needs to be said, and everybody's all rah, 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 rah. And then Corlys walks in and everyone's like, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, there's a penis here. Yes, sir. It's like, they made that very obvious. Mm-hmm. So it's like, they're just showing you, like, these people, this is the kind of thing they respect. Okay. And so Aemond is the spitting image of it. With the High Valyrian, everyone saw him put his brother in his place at that council table. Like, Vhagar is the one winning this war. It's Vhagar, Kristen Cole, who people also know have been plotting together. So, yeah, I think that Aemond, Kristen Cole are pretty much going to run this show from here on out. or at least for the next bit. There's no Otto Hightower around.
But did you not think that Kristen looked absolutely horrified?
Yes.
At
No,
knowing
he's
what
like,
Aegon-
oh God, I'm in trouble. I was not supposed to get
Yeah.
the king wrecked. That's bad. And so let's talk about the moment.
And also,
Just real quick, was Aemond about to kill Aegon with the sword? It looked like he was, wasn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Put him out of his misery. Mercy,
Mercy.
Yeah, it probably would have been a mercy.
Very
actually.
merciful.
Yeah, Aemond was probably thinking, like, damn it, like, you've been unconscious this entire time. How is it that you wake up now? And that's when he sheathes the sword.
He's looking at the
It was
knife.
like Damon with the rock. I'm going to.
I just needed 2 more minutes of you not being here, and we would have been perfect.
He had his divorce longsword out. Yes, he did.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think they have been keeping Aemond in the background this season just to kind of build this up. So that he is all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I didn't necessarily see this coming. But in retrospect, yeah, he has kind of acted like he's in charge in all of these scenes. We saw very clearly him overriding Aegon today in the meeting at the map. He's like, I want Harrenhal. And Aemond's like, hey, we're doing this other thing. So, yeah, this
By
is
the way, can I just say that the actor who plays Aemond, he has the most buttery voice. I was like, when I was listening to him. So Tom, who plays Aegon, yeah, like Aegon's got like, he yells a lot. Like, I love his voice too.
Mm-hmm.
But Aemond his voice is so buttery and soothing. He doesn't raise his voice. He can just sort of say what he needs to say without, very calmly, very like as very good leaders do oftentimes. So, but there's just something about the quality of his voice that I really appreciate.
Yes, he's got serial killer vibes, but a certain kind of serial killer, like a very
like a charming,
patient serial killer.
Ted Bundy kind of.
You don't think you want you and Mitchell reading you bedtime stories. I mean, maybe some of you do. I don't know. Some of you probably definitely do. Okay, let's go back to the super chats because there are a bunch. No, that was live chat. I've got Rain and Blood in my head. Okay.
Wow, there's a lot of them.
I know. Thank you.
So many.
No, this is fine. We will just, this is going to take us through most of the scenes right here. Yeah, you do not mess with Aemond. We agree on that, Jenny of Oldstones. Can we talk about the conversation between Aegon and Aemond in the small council? Yeah, we just got that one. The long dressing down in High Valyrian. Yeah, we did. Alicent with the moon tea, girl nettles. Aegon can't speak Valyrian. So the moon tea. Yeah, that was funny. We knew right away that was Alicent's tea. She's like, oh, I'll make sure to tell. It's the old, I'm asking for a friend, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
Yeah, because we were talking about this recently because she's still like, I don't know technically how old her character is supposed to be, but she obviously is quite young still. 30s, early 30s.
Yeah, she's a young
and
mother. Yeah.
So husband said, how is she not getting pregnant? And I'm like, I'm not sure, probably moon tea. And there you go. There you have it. Because it's only been, I think, about 10 days or so.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, what's Aragorn's tax policy? What's Alicent's, abortifacient policy? These are the things that we need to answer. And Girl Nettles just said she was crying the whole time. So, no, Aemond is not an enemy of the crown. We did see on the preview that they are giving Aegon credit for the kill of Meleys. The public crier was. So there's some politics that will be played around this. He's not dead yet. He's not.
Yeah.
I'm not quite dead. So.
I think, Aemond saw opportunity, but he has plausible deniability because he can chalk it up to, well, it was the middle of battle. He got in the way. Like, he has any retinue of excuses he can pull out of his pocket to play it off of, I didn't mean to burn my brother. It was an accident.
Yeah, Vhagar does what she wants,
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. We've got Jacqueline. Let's see. We got that one. Alice Rivers saying she was a barn owl, a reference to the heart-shaped face.
Oh, because Melisandre has a heart-shaped face. And barn
Kirsty's
owls
always
have
trying
that.
to get me on some tinfoil. I'm not here for Alice's Melisandre. I don't think that is. I'm very against that theory. Just my opinion, but I don't think so.
No.
The
But
barn
barn
owl,
owls do
that's normal witch stuff, is what that is. Go ahead, Tim.
I was just saying, but barn owls do have a heart-shaped face. So,
Okay, fine. She's
have you never
Melisandre.
seen a barn owl?
Yes. Actually, yes. I'm from Virginia. We have them there.
That is true. You are.
I'm getting all defensive. Fine. They're all Melisandre. They're all green seers. I'll just close my channel down. Pouring a few out for Rhaenys and Melis. Not that Karen. Not that Karen. Not everybody named Karen is Karen, you know. I've watched your vids on Dragon Bonds, but how could she lead Melis to death when it looked like she could get away? Well, we covered that. I think it's because she can't abandon the soldiers that she went there to protect and just let Vhagar romp. So, also, if she can kill Vhagar, Sunfire just went down. If she can take out Vhagar, that's it. War's pretty much over, dragon-wise, because Team Black still has more dragons. So, a lot on the line if she succeeded there. Jenny Voldstone's, how about Alicent taking the abortive fashion? We forget she's only in her 30s. Yep. And in fact, in the books, it's more of an issue because Rhaenyra gains weight after she has all these kids, where Alicent doesn't. And Rhaenyra's very jealous about that, says the Maesters. See, now that's the kind of stuff that I would say is Maester bias, you know, just smearing Rhaenyra. I don't think that sometimes the Maester bias goes too far, but that's the kind of stuff that's like, yeah, okay, that's just character assassination. In any case, Alicent is young still, yes, and that is, she's young and hot and kind of like a nun, and so she takes her moon tea, but in secret. Thank you, Grand Maester. I'll let her know.
I did like, by the way, I don't know. I think did she take rocks out of the fire and then put them in a towel and then put them on her, like sort of like a heating pad? I liked how she did that.
She did. Yeah, because
I think so,
at first I was thinking, yeah, she made a makeshift heating pad after she took the abortive tea, and then that's when Larys comes in and he sees both. He sees her with her makeshift heat pad. He sees the cup. He knows what's going on, and now he's master of whispers. So it's like she has, as if she didn't have enough reason to worry about this man. It's like now he's been raised to an even bigger part where knowing this stuff, now it's not just for his sick pleasure. Now it's his job to know things like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Laurie's, if things weren't moving so fast, somebody might notice that Laurie's isn't really doing a good job at his job. But
because when in the beginning at the council meeting, Aegon even says, like, Damon took Harrenhal, and he looks at Larys, that's supposed to be your castle! And then Larys is like, Harrenhal's more crippled than I am. Like, he's, like, trying to play it off, like, I got nothing in there, I don't even go home, like, my uncle's supposed to be in charge of that.
No, he had a point, but Aegon's point was, like, why am I finding out in this meeting? Which is a valid point, but the answer to that question is, because no one respects you. And Aegon doesn't know how to get respect because he was never really cut out to be king, and he just got sat on the throne by his family. And this is what you get. And I hate to keep saying it, but I called this in the Team Green video. It's like, this is just, you can see this coming.
I'm pretty sure Larys knew. I think Larys knows everything. He's just choosing what information to impart to people. That's my personal take on it.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean,
he knows everything. He knows everything about Alicent. He knows everything. I'm pretty sure he's just plain dumb, I think is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, bad at his job from Aegon's position. Like Aegon's not noticing that he's not telling him stuff, or that the blood and cheese. You know, like Larry's never Larry Larys never caught the blame. Larys never got blamed for blood and cheese. Every time people say Larys, that's what I hear. I hear Larys in a nimble dick accent. I like Lares, like Achilles and
I think it's just
Varys.
like Viserys Laris. I don't know. Laris?
See, I see
You say Lares,
Viserys
like more
and Varys,
Shakespearean?
and yeah,
Like,
I say
yes,
Laris
yes.
Varys. So
That's
but
more.
George just said you can
I think
pronounce
it's
the names
more.
however you want. I'm sorry, go on.
Heidi's froze.
Oh, she froze.
She froze.
Uh-oh.
Heidi's
All right.
become a statue. Oh wait, no, she's right there. Heidi, you probably gotta
You probably got to call,
leave and come
disconnect
back.
and call back.
Exit out and then call back. I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, I'll relieve her. Can't leave her frozen for too long. At least it wasn't like a bad in between face. Okay, there she is.
Oh, there we go.
And hang on, I'm trying to add her. What's going on? My light just went out. Chaos. It's chaos. Heidi will be right with us. All right, so let's keep going with these. Thank you, Ionic Calamity. On another note, I was laughing so hard during the beginning sequence where Damon's basically battling against the Weirwood, Greenseer, Wood Switch, whatever magic is happening at Harrenhal. Yeah, it's definitely fighting off the bad acid. It's like shades of, I mean, it's right out of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, where it's just like, what do you mean this is not an acceptable place to park? You're like,
We can't
like,
stay here. This is Bat Country. It's Harrenhal. It's Bat Country.
I want to make a Bat Country t-shirt. Yeah, Damon with the glasses and there's bats. It's got to happen. I got to figure out which artist to call upon. But speaking of t-shirts, we have a new t-shirt, Tim. And this one's not going to get banned.
Yes, Lego. If you didn't hear, Lego Company claimed the Inaugurium.
R.I.P. the Inaugurion and the Inaugurion t-shirt. Neither was long for the world. However, good news. I have good news. And it is called Caraxios. Get your nutrition with Caraxios.
Are you sure Chef Boyardee isn't going to claim this one?
No, I'm not. Just buy it and hope for the best. Your favorite spicy noodle monster now in a convenient can. In fact, Tim, I don't even know what you're talking about. What brand? This is just a generic can of noodles. I'm not sure why you would even reference specific companies here on my stream when we're just selling a very generic picture of a can of soup. Yes. Anyways, get your Caraxios in different colors, designed by artist Shayna Lacey, who also did Nana Vagar. So this is our cute Caraxes. I want to make it bigger. Hang on, let me zoom in.
I think Heidi's calling back in.
Oh, there she is, yes. Cleo's expiring also. So if we could just get Heidi in on the stream.
Oh, hi. Sorry about that.
No worries. Internet phantoms, I assume.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, guys.
Cleo was expiring back there. Expiring. So here we go. Caraxios. I could follow the link below the bonfire link. And let me queue up. Okay, so what did you think about Damon fighting off the visions? I think it's pretty clear that Alice is messing with him because all of a sudden she knows all about the content of the dreams. His issues with Rhaenyra, all the stuff that we saw him struggling with in the dream, all of a sudden Alice knows all about it. So it seems clear that she is in the dream, either observing or tinkering. What's your take on that, Heidi? Because we talked a lot about it a couple days ago. Me and Michael talks about stuff. So I actually want to hear both your take on Damon, Harrenhal, and Alice. I will listen while I go get the bird. Carry on. Heidi first, then
Sure.
Tim.
Okay. Well, I didn't like, for instance, in the last episode, I thought everything that was happening there was a vision. Like I didn't feel that. I felt like it was like a dream within a dream. And then this one, I do feel like I'm not even sure if like when he wakes up in bed, I don't even know if that's actually him physically, because then he sees himself. It looked like he's seeing himself dressed up as Aemond. Is that how you're seeing it, Tim?
Yeah, it was
That it was
himself.
actually, yeah.
It was Damon, but he was wearing Aemon's clothes and Aemon's eye patch.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. And but I did feel like it was Aemond actually walking at the beginning. It did look like Aemond's gait and sort of his physique and everything. But then when he turned around, it was him. So I think everything from the moment he woke up out of bed and grabbed his sword and everything, I think everything that happened there was a vision. What did you think?
Yeah, so like, okay, so we open with him having the dream, and we get young Rhaenyra. So nice to see that Millie Alcock's going to be apparently making more than one cameo this season. Yeah, and he cuts off her head, and she's speaking High Valyrian, like, this is what you've always wanted, isn't it? And then we get that like garbled, "A raven has arrived," and he wakes up. And Sir Simon's there, but if you notice, he looks at his hand, and his hand is red, so he still hasn't fully come out of the dream state because he's waking up with literal blood on his hands. And it's like, oh, well, that isn't screaming symbolism or anything right there. But yeah, Damon wakes up, he's got blood on his hands. And then the visions just keep coming. And then even when he's walking with Sir Simon back to meet with Oscar Tully, who has shown up, he's still seeing like these things. Like he sees like that black goat, and it really becomes weird. It's like, is that something he's envisioning, or is there actually a goat in the middle of the hallway? Like everything's left up for interpretation at this point.
Excuse me, Tim, but I've got to talk about the black goat of Cohort. It's the black goat.
What's
What, did nobody knows Goat Boy, Saturday Night Live? I'm so old. Heidi. You know Goat Boy.
I didn't know it.
Don't
I'm so sorry. When I'm thinking of black goats, I'm thinking of The Witch. You know, the movie The Witch, Robert Edgerton. Yeah. It's a demon. Like that's.
Well, I was thinking of the black goat of Cohor, since this is Ice and Fire, but I was doing Goat Boy. It's very funny. Anyway.
I'll go watch it. Yeah, I promise.
So in The Witch, The Witch, it would be Black Phillip. But it could be if Damon's...
Black Phillip, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. But if Damon is having future premonitions, like him seeing himself, but he's dressed up like Aemon, that seems, because Aemon is like a Damon cosplayer, basically. But the Black Goat, that could be, that seems like a reference to Vargo Hoat, which happens in our main story, but that's not going to be for 170 years in the future.
That actually makes sense. I took it mostly just as a creepy witchy symbol, which is extra effective because of the black goat of Cohor being this demonic entity. But you're actually right. If they're really thinking sharply, they could be, like loose little shadowings of things that are going to have, people that are going to be here and going to die here. Vargo Hoat suffers a brutal death at Harrenhal. So that's a great call, Tim. I like that. That.
Show watchers only would not know about Vargo Hoat. He was replaced with Locke, but in the books there is a Cohori named Vargo Hoat who is fed his own arms and legs by the mountain in Harrenhal. Just really playing up how freaking haunted Harrenhal is.
Tim, your videos this week should be the Black Goat explained circle arrow.
Well,
circle red arrow.
Well, if I'm gonna
and also he saw okay.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, if I am gonna promote my channel, my newest video is going up tomorrow. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A Song of Rogues and Ravens will be live, which is a character study comparing Damon and Bloodraven, who have a surprisingly high amount of similarities. 20 minutes of me just talking about all the things these two have in common.
Well, I look forward to that because I see them as very different characters. So I will look forward to that. Do you see them, just to get to the preview, do you see them like similar in personality, or is it more like plot detail parallels kind of thing?
It's both. You'll just have to wait for the video, but it goes through a lot. It goes through similar story structure, similar personality traits, similar eccentricities, just big, like ones that are very surface level, like them both being wielders of Dark Sister, then to ones that are very, very, like, you blink and you miss it. You really got to be paying attention to the things that are going on but once you see them, it's like, yeah, that is him. They both do that.
So I haven't thought about this anywhere near as much as you have. My initial reaction was just that Bloodraven is very patient and does not confront things directly. He tends to use information. He's a master of whisperers, works behind the scenes, whereas Damon like charges right at everything and has no patience. But that's only one aspect of their personality. But that's where I'm when I'm like, oh, I don't see them as similar people. That's where I was coming from. But like I said, you've dove into it a lot deeper than I have. So we will all look forward to checking out the video and seeing what's going on with them. Certainly very interesting characters to compare to the most interesting Targaryens that ever walked the pretend earth of Planetos.
Yeah, I do refer to them as two of the greatest magnificent bastards George has ever created. Because that is a trope. The magnificent bastard is a trope, and both of them fit it. And it just works out well that Bloodraven is literally a bastard.
Right, yeah, that's right. So Damon's trueborn, but he's the rogue prince, so it's the same kind of outsiderish. Yeah, got you. Cool. Well, although Bloodraven's kind of an insider, being the head of the Total Information Awareness Network, working for King Daemon, but kind of big brotherish. It's kind of different from being a rogue, isn't it?
A rogue can be very silent, and a rogue can be very stealthy. I'm
just messing with you. I'm sorry.
Gray Area, it's a collab with Gray Area, so she got early access to the script. You have to wait for the video.
I will have to wait. I'm not in the loop. Well, like I said, yeah, we'll check it out, and I'll be sure to promo it on the social medias when it happens. But subscribe to the Grey Waste Tim channel. That's the point. So you can watch the video. When it comes out tomorrow, you said?
Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific.
All right. So I do think, to get back to what you were saying about Damon wandering through Harrenhal and having these nightmares, I think that they are intending for it all to run together. I don't think that it's necessarily all a dream. Mm-hmm. I think Simon is real. He summoned the Blackwoods and the Tullys there. They did come and visit him. That wasn't imaginary. But for Damon, the experience is all running together. And you should never drink something when someone like Alice Rivers just hands you a... He didn't even ask what it was.
Yeah, that's why... That's why like the Fear and Loathing comparison you made is so apt. Like there's nothing as terrible as a man in an ether binge, and it's like, yeah, there's nothing as depraved as a man on a weirwood based binge right now, and that's totally what Damon's on.
There's nothing so depraved as a man in the depths of a weirwood based binge. That's good. So Kimberly Buffet, and of course that wouldn't be weirwood paste. Weirwood paste, as we know, comes in a bowl. Peaches come in a can, just like Caraxios. Peaches come in a can. They were put there by a man. More 90s stuff. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I think weirwood paste would be... You don't drink weirwood paste. You spoon it. It's like porridge. So it's brains.
It looked like it was red.
Was that?
It looked like it was red. She had her fingers in the cup. It looked like, not blood, but like berries or something.
Oh, we saw her make it. We could actually go back and look at what she was putting in there, huh?
Yeah, that's definitely weirwood paste that he's drinking it like syrup. It's a very thick drink, but
oh no, Tim, you actually do think it's weirwood paste?
I believe it's weirwood paste.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that was a joke. I was just dismissing it out of hand. I haven't thought about it. I'll have to go back and look. I wouldn't think that it would be, but. Yeah, I'll have to look at the scene.
I don't see how it could be anything but weirwood paste.
What do you mean? It could be anything.
It's weirwood paste. It's weirwood.
I thought it looked like berries, like bloody looking berries. That's what it looked like to me, because she was squishing it with her hands.
That would just be too direct to just feed him weirwood paste. I don't know. Yeah. Also, he's not a green seer. Can I ask you guys a question though?
I'm not having this argument with you.
I'm not either. It's just a joke now. On another note, I guess every time I say that, I have to disclaimer.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He could be. Maybe he is. Gray Area thinks so. I don't think so. But I love Gray Area. So I will tell you to go watch her video and judge for yourself. there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's why I said like me and Dave are having this feud, and you're caught. You're literally caught in the middle of it.
I just like to yell at clouds. I'm old now. On another note, I was like, okay, I read that one. So yes, we'll come back to the Damon scene. I love that they're borrowing into a lot of movie tropes, in Harrenhal. I think it's all working really
definitely.
well. It's a mix of horror movies and Hitchcock and like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and it's great. It's great. What did you think of Alice's acting and her accent and her presence and stuff like that, Heidi?
I liked it actually. I've seen the actress. She's on another show called Glow, and so I think on that show she's American, but I loved her accent. I think she's Scottish, I think, or Irish.
Yeah,
Someone
that's what
was
it
saying.
sounded
What
like.
did you
Yeah, a
think?
little different, which works for me. I don't know if they have how well they coordinate the various accents for different regions of Westeros, but it sort of fits that she would have something that sounds more folksy and charming, as that sort of Gaelic flavored accents tend to do. But works for me. What do you think of the choice to convey
Yeah,
Aemon
absolutely.
as deliberately taking out Aegon, presumably over the... Yeah, so we got into this top shelf fandom. I think they are creating a villain, and there have to be some dastardly notes. I think the mitigating factor is that he didn't plan on Aegon being there. So it's not like he planned it to kill Aegon, but once he blundered into it, he was just kind of like, all right, So yeah. And then at the end, I think he has an excuse to take him out. Oh, this is what I wanted to say about this. He has no real use for Aegon except for Aegon's dragon. So once Sunfire is taken down, it's like I can take out Meleys, and then I don't have any use for him, really. So it's like it kind of makes sense that he would be like, "Oh, I'm just sorry, brother. I'm gonna put you out of your misery here. You're not really needed anymore. Your dragon's broken. You're just getting in the way of this war. I should be king anyway." So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. He's a villain, and you could say Aegon had it coming, I guess. But I would say that if your older brother picks on you, you should work it out with words and, not with dragons. But it's just me. I'm a nice guy, usually. So
Yeah. So, sorry. One thing my brain just had a brain blast. So with Alice Rivers,
we need a sound for that. Brain blast.
Yeah, whatever. Just take a soundbite from Jimmy Neutron. But yeah, chat saying that it's Scottish accent, that the actress playing Alice Rivers is Scottish. So, like, for me, when I heard the accent, my mind was immediately going to, like, okay, like, what are they aiming for? Is this, like, Banshee? Is this Doulahan? But now I think I got it. Macbeth, King of the Scots. There are the three witches, which are the Wayward sisters. So, Wayward, Weirwood, I think that's what they're aiming for with Alice.
Carry on, my wayward Alice. I'm going all. I'm uncorked. I'm uncorked. I'm the villain of this.
Yeah, David,
thing.
I did say on you saw my picture on Twitter that she's got weirwood leaves on her apron.
She has leaves on her apron. They are
they're weirwood
5-pointed.
leaves.
They looked more like maple leaves to me. Oh, Canada.
Yes, but if you haven't seen, okay, I found a picture of the weirwood tree, the one that's in King's Landing. If you zoom in, they're maple leaves. They're using maple leaves.
Okay, that's true.
The weirwood leaves.
You're right.
They're red. They're sugar red maple.
You're right. Yeah. Stacy is right. I am basically irrelevant.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's correct.
And also on, if you look on Sansa's coronation gown, she had those same leaves.
It would make sense that they are weirwood leaves. If you were embroidering leaves on a dress, they might. I mean, it's Westeros. Like, we even see the Faith of the Seven still uses weirwood. Weirwood has sacred connotations, even if you don't worship the old gods, because it is the oldest religion. And so we sort of see that. I think that's actually a very cool detail that George does, showing that the Faith of the Seven still uses weirwood in a sacred form. In the Eyrie, they have a fake weirwood throne. The Kingsguard their table is a weirwood shield. It's like, it's just imbued with that sense of sacredness. And that sort of thing just becomes a vague impression, even if you don't actively practice in a religion. So that's cool. I dig that. They're weird with leaves. It's weird with paste. I give up. I'm just saying maybe. Go ahead.
No, she is making Damon breakfast. He is having a big stack of some very special pancakes. She just dropped a fat bag of reefer into the batter.
Something's in there. I'm not saying it's just tea. I just want, there's something in there. Like his everything gets worse for him after he drinks it. Like he wasn't tripping out in the council meeting before, and now it's like he's seeing Lena, and he's like, "Who are you?" Like he's deep in it now.
No,
so
like they are totally
a
playing
pregnant Lena.
Yeah.
Well, she had that picture, of maple syrup.
It's a maple syrup, maple leaves. This is all Canadian coded. I don't know what you guys are getting. No,
it's all happening.
Well, actually,
Harrenhal is a giant.
I was going to ask you though about. Oh, sorry, David. I wanted to ask you. Did you notice when Rhaenyra, young Rhaenyra, Princess Rhaenyra, was wearing older Rhaenyra's outfit, her crown and everything? Did you notice it was very ill-fitting? The crown was like sitting very low on her head.
I think I did.
The gown was kind of oversized.
And they're doing, thank you, Heidi, Costume Co. Well, but they're doing that like you said, with Aegon's armor. Yeah, they're showing us stuff that fits and stuff that doesn't. It kind of goes with the throne. It might cut you or it might not. So yeah, good point. Okay. I do think, Tim, I don't know if you watched my stream from a couple days ago with Michael Talks About Stuff. I definitely think Alice could be a Green Seer. I think she's far more likely to be a Green Seer than Damon, if I had to pick. And I think that the person, of course, I know I don't want to get into it all. The idea is that she would be even if Damon Green Seer theory requires Alice to be a Green Seer theory too, right?
Yeah, and it's like, I knew you were going to come at me with that, and I had a rebuttal, but the problem is, to say it is a spoiler. So we're just going to have to put a pin in it. And for now, we're just going to have to agree to disagree until what I think is going to happen happens, but that's not going to be till season 3. So 2 years from now, we will come back to this.
Well, this is all separate canon anyways, so whatever happens in the show, not necessarily indicative of what's going on in the books. In fact, I was a little bit disappointed. George Martin. So first of all, very cool. George Martin likes the show and left a very cool, detailed feedback commentary on the show a couple days ago on his Nana blog, praising all the different characters and actors. He bemoaned Maelor the Missing, but he especially praised Helena, the adaptation of Helena, and of course Fia's performance. And he, in very humble fashion, says, "Oh, this is so much more than what I wrote with the character. And it makes sense, and I really like it," essentially. He said the same thing about Osha the Wildling in the first season. Like, he didn't put as much thought into it, but the portrayal of the character was so good that it causes him to want to write bigger parts in the future for his book character. So it's cool that he is humble and acknowledges good writing, when it's there. But also it's disappointing that, like, I was kind of wondering if Helena being a dreamer was a book canon thing that came from George, because it really makes sense writing Dreamfire, a dragon named Dreamfire, that Helena would be a dreamer. I think Rhaena was a dreamer because she had this idea to put the eggs in the cradles. Where did that come from? Maybe a dragon dream. So I was a little bit disappointed that it sounds like, no, that is a show invention, and George was like, oh, it's really cool. So I don't know, maybe it'll become book canon, but it wasn't originally, it seems like. But if you want to see George's opinion on the show, go check out his Naughty blog. It was very interesting, and a lot of the opinions are the same things as some of the stuff we've been saying. He's like, Otto's performance in second episode, that was award-winning stuff. We've talked about Helena being one of the coolest adaptations from the books, so that was all really fun to read. There are so many super chats. I love you guys. And Vhagar is a giant ninja. Somehow she's always sneaky. Yep. I think I saw that one when we were talking about that. But this is right where we were. I loved how they depicted the disparity in flight experience of Rhaenys compared to Aegon or Aemond. She has 42 years compared to 12 years for Aegon and 9 years for Aemond. You could see it in how the dragons moved. Yeah, the other Aegon is kind of just like flying right at the dragon, like, here we go. Something's going to happen. And you could see like Meleys is more like dodging away at the last second and then circling around behind to get the advantage on Sunfire. So yeah, you could see some tactics. I'll look forward to watching it again and breaking it down, but you could definitely see some tactics and differences in experience. You could see Meleys is fast, a little bit bigger than Sunfire. Vhagar's slow. We talked about some of this. Aegon's broken High Valyrian was funny. Yes, it was. It was very funny. All the dragons smell blind to Vhagar. Can they read the emotions of those they bonded with but have little awareness of the other dragons? So, okay, this is why they showed us that Vhagar was far away. They had to sound multiple horns, right? Like, Vhagar's not just a mile away. She's a few miles away. So this is how, because I think, yes, if Vhagar was too close to the castle, then Meleys might have detected her, because we do see the dragons react to each other when they get close. So I think that may have been part of the idea, is keep Vhagar several miles away. They had to use a couple horns and a signal. So yeah, that's a pretty big distance that they traveled. I think that's what they're depicting. I don't like the reuse of the Vhagar from nowhere move used in the first season to kill Luke. And are the dragons sad when a dragon doesn't return? So I think, I mean, you can feel how you want about it, I guess, but I think it makes sense that they would show the dragon using the same move over and over. Like the dragons, just like Mortal Kombat characters, like Cyrax. They've each got their moves that they use. And those moves are going to be tailored to the various strengths and weaknesses of the dragon. Vhagar is a one-hit kill. So if she can lay in wait and just get that one hit, then it's over. And she's not as fast, so that kind of makes sense. Girl Nettles, will Aegon be scared of Aemond? Like Viserys was scared of Damon. The brother duos kind of mirror each other. I mean, I think we saw that already in the High Valyrian dressing down. Like that was a dominance display right there. Let's see, thoughts on the Targ brother dynamic. It is pretty compelling. Maegor and Rhaenys, etc. Shout out to Costume Co. Yeah, so they're playing up some of the mirrors. I actually think that Aegon and Damon have similar character traits, being immature and kind of rash. They both have that. Both actors use this sort of shrill, tense voice. You know, we were talking about Aegon's voice. Matt Smith uses a very shrill voice for Damon as well. And then, yeah, you're right about the dynamic with Viserys and Damon. What are your thoughts on the brother dynamic? I know you know these Targaryens probably better than anyone, Tim.
Yeah, because we had said, someone had asked that last week too, about did we think that Aegon was going to be afraid of Aemon after the scene in the brothel when he made fun of him, and me, you, and Nettles kind of came to the conclusion like, yeah, I think Aemon's probably good. He's smoldering. He's going to go home and think this one over, and Aegon might have a reason to worry. And this became very evident that he did, and it starts with Aegon getting dogpiled on by everyone around him. And it's really set up with that council meeting when Aemon is speaking flawless, perfect Valyrian, when Aegon learns that him and Kristen Cole have been scheming. Like, it really is set up like, yes, Aemon is gunning for him, and Aegon does have reason to worry. And then it's hammered home again, like bad Mother Alicent when she tells him, just do nothing. And now he feels like he has to do something. And then he goes out drunk driving, and like this is our incident. And how does Aemon respond? Like, he looks up and he just says idiot, but he waits to see what Aegon does. And it's like Rhaenyra speaking to Damon in his first stream from last episode, always coming and going, and I have to clean up your mess. Like, now this is what Aemon has to do. I have to clean up your mess. You're muted.
I was just going to say that Aemon deciding to wait and see what happens and then come up on the fight, that's just his personality too. Like, it doesn't match his personality to be like, oh crap, Aegon's here. I'm going to panic now and get on my dragon and hurry and like feel pressed. Like, that's not how he operates. He's like,
No,
okay,
that's fine.
fool steps into the lion's jaws, then I'll just wait a second. Go ahead, Tim.
That's why I say I think the snake metaphor that I used earlier is so apt, but not just for Vhagar, but for Aemond. They lie in wait and they wait for the opportunity. Because when a snake strikes, it's very precision. But if the snake ever happens to miss in the wild, that's kind of game over. If they don't get it in the first go, that gives its prey a lot of opportunity to run away. Very rarely do they get a second strike. And Nana Vhagar, being so old and being so big, if she doesn't get it on the first strike, she needs a minute to recover from that recoil to try again. It's either get it in the first shot or you might not get it at all. So that's the way I look at it.
That's great analysis. And I think what we're uncovering here is that the tactics do sort of match the personalities as well as the strengths and weaknesses of the dragons and riders. So this really does make sense to me. That's very well put, Tim. Minty Maelstrom in the chat says, it shows that Vhagar is an uncontainable weapon. He couldn't stop her from chomping Luke, and he knows he can't avoid burning Aegon, so F it. Yeah, it's kind of like, once you send in Vhagar, it's like, Vhagar, kill. Vhagar, smash. Yeah, she's a mean old dragon. She really is.
I was going to say, Tim, regarding Aegon, the night before when he was at the brothel and embarrassed his brother and everything, I honestly don't think he would have remembered that. I think he just went to that meeting and had no idea what he had done. And I don't think he had been mulling it over. I think he just thinks, this is what he's always done.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, I'm not going to bail you out this time. Like, you screwed up my plan.
I think Aemond, for me, I compared Aemond to that. I said Aemond's bottling it up, but eventually that eventually explodes. I think Aemond is the type to remember every slight, every insult. He engraves that on his very soul. And then he just waits for the moment so that he can just kick you while you're down and just be like, oh, what's that? You need my help now? Let me remind you of this incident from 10 years ago when you pulled out the pig. Like, that is Aemond. Aemond holds a grudge.
So here's what it does. When those little insults and slights and the bigger ones, they build up, it kills the empathy. It kills the love in the relationship. It makes it so that instead of, oh, I better go save my fool brother from burning himself again because I love him, to like, you know what? F you. Go ahead. Stew in it. And because that empathy has been worn down. So it wasn't like he was planning to kill him. But yeah, we see that it is. The relationship does not have that I'm going to ride or die for my brother element to it. And we saw Aegon's been taking advantage, have been very much taking him for granted is what I'm trying to say. Oh, we've got Vhagar. Aemond, I can just send Aemond and Vhagar to burn my enemy. Like, he's not even... I was thinking that maybe Aegon and Aemond would form a power block together. But Aegon didn't do that. He just carried on and cavorted and searched out his new sobriquet, okay, which means nickname. And he could have been part of the smallest council. He could have been involved with Criston and Aemond's planning, but he wasn't, because he wasn't presenting himself as a serious person. It's like, how do you want to gain respect? Act serious. Don't put your cronies on the Kingsguard. Another thing that Aemond dressed him down for. So, Tim, to your point, we haven't seen Aemond confront him about that. He didn't jump in the way of it, but when he files it away, and then he pulls it out like a dagger to throw one more when he's sitting there pasting him to the wall with the knives. Be like, and you're an F up. You did this. You did that. You're pathetic. I've got a plan. Do you have a plan? And he's just, poof, 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 you know?
Yeah. Well, we had discussed this in season 1 when we were talking Damon and Viserys' relationship, because while Damon and Viserys would definitely butt heads, Damon still was ride or die for Viserys. In his own weird way, he did have true honor towards his brother, and it took Otto Hightower to be the real wedge driver between them to prevent them from becoming that dynamic duo. But Aegon and Aemond, they were doomed from the start because they had Otto from birth, and they had Alicent. It's like, I don't know. And then then also with the double talk, the whispers and murmurs about their nephews, about the strong boys and all of that. It seems like those two never really ever had a chance to ever get close and form that kind of bond. Aegon, it seemed like, was forming that in the beginning with his nephews at the expense of Aemond. But then eventually another couple of years passed, and even that starts to die down. And it's like these kids are left with no close confidants.
And again, you're looking at the absence of the parents,
Mm-hmm.
supposed to deal with this kind of stuff. Apologize to your
like
brother.
Viserys never brought.
You know?
Yeah, I was going to say Viserys never, because he always obviously thought that Rhaenyra was going to be his heir. He never like counseled his sons at all on their behavior. He never brought them into the small council meeting like Aegon did with Jaehaerys. And so they never had any like good models. They had, like, and I said, Allison is, like, as far as I'm concerned, a pretty terrible mother. She didn't have a mother herself around to help her, to
Also
coach her.
true.
So that absent, she only had her dad. So unfortunately, I just think it's one big dysfunctional family compared to the Blacks, which, come across as more of a loving, caring family, with maybe the exception of Damon.
Yep, Jace got a little impatient with his mom this week. Damon, what you doing back there?
No, this is Cassie thinks the dragon is a toy. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Cassie.
That's not Damon. You're right.
Oh, it's so cute.
Cassie, the dragon's not a toy. Oh.
She's like, I could take him. I'm as fierce as any of them.
Question: how long does it take to get from Dragonstone to King's Landing and back? Because she said
Not
she was
long.
gone for a few. That's what I was gonna say. It seemed like a little bit like they took their time. They stopped in an Airbnb, maybe.
Oh well, they were rowing in a boat. I'm sorry, I thought you meant on dragon.
Okay, that's
on
true.
a dragon, it's like an hour probably, like not even. But
Yeah.
So real quick, let me get through a couple of these. Misty Step says that Aemond pulled a Cheney. If you remember, Dick Cheney
yes.
shot his friend in the
Yep.
face
For sure.
accidentally.
Yep.
With a shotgun. Not sure how that happens, but
I don't think it was accidental though.
good reference. I, as an old guy, appreciate that. In before YouTube of House in Red and Blue. What?
I don't get the reference.
Thank you for the super chat. I do not understand. Sunset Gal.
Do
with a
they mean the
sticker.
Strongs?
What's that?
Do they mean the Strongs? House of Red and Blue? Or it should be green as well, though.
Yeah.
It's cryptic. Brienne Johnson. Brienne Johnson. Aemond had his sword out at the end, ready to kill Aegon. Yeah, it seems like it. He was going to take the chance to try to kill him while he could. Yes, he should have gone quickly. He was doing the villain slow walk-up thing, and he should have just gone for it. But I kind of love how, not love, but they did a good job. Sunfire just looked like a car wreck. Sad. Not saying gave me like, oh yeah, Sunfire's wrecked. But like, they really did a good job of portraying just a broken ass wrecked dragon. It looked like a car wreck. They really did. Or like a plane crash, I guess. Probably the better. We didn't get a good look at Aegon, but he looked like he might have been burned. He was kind of smoking. We'll have to see. I think they're probably waiting next week to show us his condition.
Yeah, it's what we're supposed to read is the look on Kristen Cole's face. The look of abject horror. Like, he's alive, but he is messed up. That's what we're supposed to take from it.
And of course, his father was disfigured, so we'll have to see if they give him
Maybe
a
they'll
similar
bring
type
him
of
back.
thing.
It's interesting though, like him wearing the Valyrian steel armor. Technically, I mean, he could just cook inside of it. It wouldn't melt on him, I don't believe. I think it's too strong of an alloy to do that. So it'll be interesting how they approach that.
Yes. The sword Blackfire. Of course, Valyrian steel is forged in Dragonfire, so theoretically, Dragonfire can melt Valyrian steel, but I would assume it's not with just one little puff. The sword Blackfire was put in Aegon's funeral pyre, which was lit by Vhagar, and the sword came out a little darker, but it was not melted or damaged at all.
Yeah, because I think there is some magic to it as well. I think it's
set with spells. You're right. Once it's done, maybe. Yeah, you're probably right. So
So it'll be interesting to see, like as opposed to steel, which would just sort of melt on the skin and be, would be awful. I personally don't know how someone could survive that in the Middle Ages, but we'll see what happens.
And in the books, the armor does melt into like his shoulder, I think, and that's what Heidi's mentioning. So it seems like, yeah, if the Valyrian steel armor should not, but I don't know. The dragon fire was blowing up buildings in Game of Thrones, and that doesn't make any sense at all. So,
Well, and he
we'll
did
see.
have just on his arms. His arms were exposed. He only had like scale mail kind of on there. He didn't have the actual. It was just the
It's the
breastplate
face
and the
I'm worried
shoulder
about.
halter.
That pretty Tom
The
Glenn
face is
face.
for sure. Yeah, for
What
sure.
kind of
Even-
I mean, they did
Maybe-
such a crazy job with Viserys. Go ahead, Tim.
oh
I
yeah.
was gonna say maybe it's not so much the Valyrian steel melting to the skin, but the skin melting to the Valyrian steel that becomes the problem.
Yeah,
Technically
it's just
accurate.
awful. The whole. Yeah.
Confirmed.
You're right.
That would be a problem.
With his face, though, they might bring back that King Baldwin mask that like Viserys was wearing. So maybe
It's
maybe
hard
we'll
to-
see it come back with
You
that.
can kind of see that coming, can't you? Like, oh, look, my dad's mask. Okay, I'll put it on. Almost like, I forget which one. Some Sith apprentice that like doesn't want to do it, but he's doing it. I think that was Kylo Ren. It was sort of whatever. Let's not get into Star Wars. Aemond found the dagger. Will he find the prophecy? I could totally see Aemond just baking the knife on instinct and like discovering the. In fact, I would say it's more likely to happen than not. It'd be more interesting if he does discover the prophecy and starts to wonder what it means. Right? You with me?
Well, yeah. Allison's looking for the books too, right? She was sort of searching for
True.
those in the episode.
True.
Allison, she was, yeah. And also there was a picture. Sorry, I don't think this is a spoiler because it came out at the beginning of the season. There's a picture of Allison and Aemon standing on top of like on a bridge or what have you, ramparts.
The wall,
and
yeah.
you can see, he's wearing the cat's paw dagger.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because that reminds me because when she does have that scene where she talks to Maester Orwell and she asks him his opinion, like, do you think Viserys wanted to name Aegon? And Orwell's like, I don't know, I couldn't tell you. He never spoke with me. But yeah,
The
even
right
after
answer.
even after hearing from Rhaenyra, like last up's like, no, you made a mistake. He was talking about the Conqueror. She's still looking for like any little thing she can grasp onto of, no, I did the right thing. Like this was the proper course of action. I think that's something that's always in Allison's character is always look, even when it's so obvious that like, no, you were in the wrong. She's still holding out for that last little bit of hope that maybe I can cling to and justify my actions on this.
Yeah, they're milking that storyline for all it's worth. The whole misunderstanding thing. It's hard for me to get invested in it. I'm over it. Like what? But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they will do something interesting if Aemon finds the prophecy and Alicent's reading books. We'll see. Here's a poll we can do, Maynard Plum. We haven't done any polls because we haven't been able to get through the super chats to get to these questions. This was a very unusual episode. It doesn't really fit the format of these questions necessarily. So this is fine, but we haven't done any polls. So will Aemond discover the prophecy on the knife? That will be our poll question. And in the chat, if you have an idea for a poll question, you can suggest one. So that will go up shortly in the live chat. And I will grab our next super chat, and then we'll check on how the poll is doing. So, will Aemond discover the prophecy on the knife? Give us about 60 seconds, and we'll have that in the chat.
It'd be interesting to find out it'd be interesting to see if it would happen by accident or, by on purpose. Like, how would he know to do it on purpose? But it would be interesting if he just happened upon it.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe instinct, but maybe he'll have a dream. Maybe Helena will touch it and be like, that's interesting. Who knows? Rest in peace, Rhaenys and Melis. They went out like true warriors. Also, Sunfire was beautiful, and his little song-like calls were so cool. Oh, yeah, he did have some unique sounds, Sunfire. I'll have to go back and listen to that. Okay, Be Toxic. Melis grounded Vhagar, and then somehow lost track of her. Then 200-ton Vhagar becomes sneaky. Nana isn't sneaky. She is sneaky. That's the thing. supposed to be a 2-on-1 instead of Rhaenys turns back twice after winning. So they're gonna change the dragon fight details. If you want to be upset by that, you can, but I think it makes it more exciting than knowing exactly what's going to happen. So I would encourage you not to think about what is supposed to happen as if the show is supposed to follow Fire and Blood. It's not. It's just adapting it, and it's going to make changes. So you kind of just have to evaluate what you see based on whether or not you like it. And as we were talking about, she can't run. She would be abandoning her men on the battlefield. That's why she came there. So not only can she potentially end the war by striking Vhagar if she can pull it off, it's also just the thing she has to do for honor's sake. And so with a glad cry and a crack of her whip, that's straight from the book. Like, she sees that it's a losing fight. Because in the book, they both kind of pop up from like a trench or something. Like they're hiding off over the cliff, and they both appear. And Rhaenys sees that they're both there, and she's like, F it. And she just tears into it. So it's consistent with the character as far as her being courageous and done with this world, perhaps, or tired or something like that. And as far as the sneaky thing goes, I mean, it's hard to track all the blocking of it, but like, she's green, like she was on the ground. Meleys flew away and then looped back, and by the time she looped back, Vhagar had disappeared. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know what you want to say about it, but that's her move. It's the Vhagar sneak attack. She's very sneaky. It's like Illyrio being light on his feet. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. Snake Strike, Ambush Predator, Indominus Rex from Jurassic World, like whatever you want to call it, like that's Vhagar. That's her move.
So let's check and see if we've got our poll happening. Maynard Plum, are we polling? I gotta wait for the stupid chat summary to disappear. He might have stepped away because there it is. Will Aemond discover the prophecy? 67% says yes with 249 votes. Mm-hmm. Folks, get your votes in. There are 1,500 people in the chat. This thing is not over yet. Yeah. The naysayers can still have a comeback.
Because with Aemond, like last week we saw him, like he was running those coins between his fingers while he was at the small council meeting just listening. So I could picture Aemond like running his fingers across the blade, and maybe he'll feel like, hey, it feels like there's something carved into this, and maybe that's how he'll pick up on it, that there's like little characters carved into the blade.
Rhaenys being killed by her daughter's dragon. Oh yeah, that's true. That was Laena's dragon. And it goes back to that night on Driftmark when Aemond claimed Vhagar. Like, that was the whole war right there. They wouldn't have had a chance if he didn't do that. Do I have any insight on Aemond
and we saw Laena as well.
What's that, Heidi?
Oh, and we saw Laena this episode as well.
I still didn't get that. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. We saw Laena in the episode in Damon's vision.
Yeah, maybe they wanted us to think about that, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she's wearing the outfit that they wore like the last night they were together, and when she was pregnant. So before she went into labor.
We only saw them in one scene together.
That's true. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Correct. Well, they show her. Yeah, correct. Sorry.
I just had to say that because I wanted more Laena, but yeah, you're right. It is.
Exactly. Just we had young Laena, but.
So okay. We got way ahead. That's what happened. So we'll let that poll. The poll is still running. I believe Tywin said something to the effect of, anyone who gets third-degree burns over 90% of their body and breaks all their limbs is no king at all. I don't know. If you could survive, maybe that's impressive. We'll have to see. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what state Aegon is in.
Everyone should listen to their liege lord, no matter what state. Yeah.
That is the rules in Westeros. Could Meleys have affected Rhaenys' decision not to want to end the fight? Dragons don't run, they attack. That's a good point. Dragons pretty much never do. Like we saw Arax try to attack Vhagar, even though he should have run. So that's a good thing to bring up. But I think, like I said, also Rhaenys was never going to flee the battlefield either. So they were probably of one mind there. But thanks for bringing that up. The dragons do not run. I think the dagger part with Aemond was kind of cheesy, but other than that, one of the best episodes ever. I thought it was cool and sinister, but thank you for the super chat. Everyone's got their take on it. I thought other things were cheesy, but I thought that was cool. And I thought he's looking down the daggers like he's over there. I don't know. I like it. I think he's a good villain. Possibly unrelated, but I've been ruminating on the idea that the other possible reason that Larys has a foot fetish is the fact that if he does obsess over feet because he wargs into rats, all he sees is feet. Well, somebody in the stream a couple days ago was saying it's the other way around. Because he has a foot fetish, it's very convenient that he might be skin-changing rats so he can look at everyone's feet. So, however you want to attack that, I guess. I don't think he is skin-changing rats, for the record. But I'm just an old curmudgeon. Don't listen to me. What do I know about Ice and Fire? Did you think Aegon's inability to speak High Valyrian limits his ability to command Sunfire? No. But they did show us that he wasn't giving all those commands in Valyrian, was he?
No, he was speaking English.
Okay, yeah.
He probably knows, like, enough to get by, and that's about it.
He said Dracarys.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I love this Frey girl. Harrenhal is Westeros' Winchester Mystery House. So this is a thing in San Jose. If you're a Californian, you'll know about this. It's a crazy lady that kept building on additions to her house for entire life. It's called the Winchester Mystery House. It was the original people that like made a bunch of money off the Winchester rifles. And so the widow started being plagued by the ghosts of all the men that were shot by the guns, supposedly. And so she kept building additions to the house for these men to live in, to like appease their ghosts or something. And so the house is this crazy maze, and it's very strange. And I guess if you pick up on haunted vibes, then your hair stands up when you go there. So Winchester Mystery House, totally.
I think they made that into a movie, David. I think they made that into a horror movie or something, didn't they?
My movie knowledge is bad. I don't know. Let's check on our chat.
I don't think it did that well.
I mean our poll.
I don't think it did. I don't think it did that well at the box office, but I remember seeing something about that. And it might have been called the Winchester Widow.
Their thoughts on Larry's foot fetish theories. I've got to figure out how to get rid of this chat summary. I have not found a way to get rid of it. Will Aemond discover the prophecy? 64% says yes. So that is pretty optimistic. It does seem like it would make sense. We'll try to think of some more poll questions. All right, so there's so many. You guys have many questions tonight. I would watch a whole series about Damon and Simon interviewing various Riverland personalities. Yes. Simon Beale is great. Or Russell Beale as Simon Strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
He's amazing.
He is great. I love the Knights of the Round Table, and it's just all kinds of references in Harrenhal.
I was going to say that Damon in this episode was particularly prickly and really, it's like, having, when there's someone in your life, and it doesn't matter what you say to them, everything is wrong. And you feel like you're walking on eggshells with them. That's what it's like with Damon. He's just like on the edge all the time. And so it's just, I can't even imagine what it would be like for all those people, especially the one, the Tully kid. And why don't you just smother your grandfather and get it over with kind of thing? That was just awful.
Yeah, looping, like, who are you? Oh, you should kill your grandfather. Like,
but I love my grandfather.
Yeah, quite the experience talking to him. Go ahead.
I was thinking, like, he's definitely being a dick, but it's like, I don't know if he really meant like you should kill your grandfather. I think he was saying it more like, look, if you don't speak with the full power of your grandfather's words behind them, then why are you here? That's the impression I got from it. It's like, I'm meeting with you because your grandfather is too sick to come himself. But if you don't have his authority, then there's no point to this meeting. Now, as for the Blackwood who comes later, Damon, had he been aware of his situations, would have been more apt to hear what that guy was saying, but he was hungover from the weirwood paste. So that was, so on Damon's end, that was just a bad morning for him.
I don't even think he was hungover from it. I think he was still tripping. I got the impression he was still.
I don't think they want us to know. We're not like.
Okay, maybe they don't.
It's just. I mean, it's just my take, but I think it's all supposed to be mixed together because we're experiencing it like Damon is. He doesn't know anymore when he's dreaming or awake. So.
You show up to the interview high and you still get the job.
I think he's more like the interviewer. It's like showing up to an interviewer and your interviewer is like blasted. You're like, what? I don't know if I want to work for this company.
Simon's like,
what's the pay?
What do I do with this? Like, it's like working with, he's trying to help him negotiate all, trying to get more troops and everything. And then meanwhile, he's working with somebody who's absolutely, just really super difficult. And so I feel bad for Simon, who's, kind of awesome. By the way, his outfits are amazing in this show.
Vhagar burning Aegon Sunfire is also another example of the Dragonborn's subconscious thought. Like when Aemond killed Lucerys. Yes. Or like when Vhagar killed Lucerys. That could be. That makes sense. Vhagar's not a ninja. She's just experienced. I think that is true. I love the Visenya trained her to be sneaky theory. I'm going with that. Why do you think Damon saw Lena at Harrenhal and not Rhaenyra? Does he love her more? No, I think we're cycling through his various traumas. And we saw Rhaenyra again, too. So,
yeah,
he's got many issues. Circling him like bats. Jen says, I think they showed how much more tuned in Rhaenys is with Meleys than the boys are with their dragons. She almost whispered her commands while the boys are always yelling. Yep, that was a nice touch. What's this 3 here? Anybody know? 3, 1, 1.
Is that like their first super chat?
Maybe.
Oh.
That would make sense. Oh, let's celebrate their 3rd super on a live stream. Yes, that's what it is. Huzzah. Let's see here. Jay Spartan. Just happy, and you know it. Thank you. Mishka White Mask. Laris's insight on Harrenhal. Larys' insight on Harrenhal and the small council and his thoughts on Damon's mental state untangling is very telling. Thoughts on his green seeing. I don't have any thoughts because I don't think he's a green seer, but Tim might have thoughts.
Yeah, because I'm still not convinced that Larys is a warg. I think he's just a very good agent of chaos, but I think also he just wants to be, like, the fact that Larys is technically the Lord of Harrenhal, but doesn't stay there, is a lot like the reason why Peter Baelish is the Lord of Harrenhal and doesn't stay there. Like, Peter Baelish seems to be under this idea that if I don't go there, then the curse can't get me. And I think Larys, having grown up there, is probably of a similar mindset of, if I don't stay there, then bad things can't happen to me. And Larys is probably also someone who might just have bad memories tied to Harrenhal and doesn't want to be there. I mean, to burn your father and your brother alive goes beyond just, oh, I'm serving my queen. There's got to be something more personal in that. And I think that's just something, though, we got to wait for a bigger reveal about Larys's character. Because he's very much, in the book, he's very much an enigma. And that's the way they're written about. Like, nobody really truly knew the real him or what his motives were. You mute it.
Well, as soon as I started talking, I just had that feeling. One thing I want to point out is that green seers are tied into this sort of hive mind. Okay, and so their the agenda of a green seer is probably the same as the agenda of the hive mind. I don't think Bloodraven can do anything different than what the hive mind wants at this point, okay? And that's very oft debated thing, how much Bloodraven is there. He's obviously started to link up with this hive mind already. So skin changers are different. Varamir Six Skins is not following any sort of plan. He's not doing anything according to any agenda other than serving his own gratification. So when we talk about Lares, I'm not sure if the official theory is that he's a green seer or a skin changer, but those would be different. If he is a skin changer, he could very much still be just a self-interested, scheming kind of lowlife who is using rats as spies the way that Varys uses children as spies. If he's a green seer, then we have to start wondering, why do the old gods want Lionel Strong burned and things like that? And that doesn't really make sense to me. Alice Rivers is more of an open question. If she was a green seer, and we can't really go there because this is spoilers, but as far as the things that she does through the war, that's more like you could squint at it and begin to come up with reasons why that might serve the long-term agenda of the old gods. And actually, me and Michael talked about that in our Alice Rivers stream a couple days ago, if you want more on that. But I just wanted to point that out, that like Larry's, to me, there's no way he's a green seer, but I could buy that he's a skin changer who's using rats to be a very good master of whisperers and just like a rat bastard. So what are your thoughts on that, Tim? And then Heidi.
Yeah, okay, I gotta give credit where credit is due. This is I believe it's a Joe Magician theory, but it's one I do like, where he brought up this idea of Larys being the clubfoot and Harwin Strong being breakbones. And the idea was Larys born with his clubfoot, or did that happen to him? And he used the comparison to the Mountain and the Hound, where Gregor Clegane burns Sandor's face, but their father doesn't punish them. Their father makes up a story of his bedding caught fire. So he theorized, what if Breakbones broke Larys's leg and it never healed, and their father never did anything about it? And that could be the reason, like, why Larys has a grudge against his father and his brother, and that could be like bad memories. I don't know. That's just a theory, but I like it. It made sense to me because it has parallels to other characters.
That's one of those things where like it makes sense on its own, but there's no clues that that's the case. No that Harwin's that kind of person. So
yeah, it just builds up because we don't know. Like again, Harwin's, a lot of these characters in Fire and Blood are very blank slates, and we're relying on Fire and Blood to add meat to what's very skeletal figure. And the Harwin we got in this show didn't seem to give off that kind of vibe. But
no, and what we do know about I'm sorry, Tim, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, but we didn't get much of Harwin, and we really don't know what people are like behind closed doors. Like, Harwin seemed great with Rhaenyra and with his obvious sons, but could he have had a violent streak? Possible. But it's just a theory. There's nothing to confirm or deny, but it does have a good parallel by comparing it to the Clegane brothers.
I can see it being an accident that they didn't want to talk about, but to me, you have to go with the story that's being told. So even though Fire and Blood only has little details about the character, the writer's giving you the hints that he wants to give you. So if he wants you to wonder if somebody's dastardly, he'll show you the actions being potentially dastardly. And there's just nothing like that with Harwin. In fact, it's kind of incredible that he fathers Rhaenyra's children and then is okay with not claiming them and just being her paramour. Like, it shows you that he's incredibly devoted to her and loves her deeply, which is what George says about their relationship. So to me, I was like, oh, but maybe he actually was like Gregor Clegane. It's like, no, there's no hints that he's like Gregor Clegane. And Gregor Clegane is a unique type of psychopath. So that to me is like somebody trying to fill in the blanks in their theories. And it's also very uncomfortably close to trying to justify Larry's burning his own family, which is not justified. There's no motive for that. We're not shown that there's any rift in the Harwin-Larry's relationship. Like, there's not even a whisper of that. So I don't know. That rubs me the wrong way. But maybe I'm a Harwin stan. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, when all we have are gaps, all we can do is try and plug them in as best we can.
Let's see. What Aemond would do with the information of the Song of Ice and Fire, how would it affect his game plan? That's a great question. What do you think, Heidi? How could that affect Aemond? Come here, girl.
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. That's more like you guys are more into the lore than I am. But can I say something about Laris? I always say Laris. Sorry,
Absolutely.
Laris. That I think that I do believe he is clubfoot, and the reason why is because Oedipus had a clubfoot, and so I feel that that's probably where George got the idea. I don't know what you think about that. King Oedipus had a clubfoot.
Yeah, because that's
and he was
also
supposed to be left on the mountain. And then I think a shepherd took mercy on him and gave him to his had a mother. Sorry, I don't remember the story exactly, but yeah.
I don't either. Go ahead, Tim.
I was thinking of the in-world story that George made of when the Citadel was first built. Like I'm blanking on the name, but I think it's one of those Pendragon names where the great patron of the Citadel was also, I think, had some kind of physical disability, and then his brother held up the Citadel because of his brother, because he liked being surrounded by learned men and learning things from them.
Anyone notice the color of Aegon's flagon on the wine being gold like sunfire? I noticed him breaking the very fine glass. And as someone who cares for very fine glass vases of various sorts, that struck close to home. I have dropped an expensive piece of glass. He did it on purpose. That kind of hurt. Yeah, I stopped.
Did you not think it reminded you like of a cat? You know when you see these cat videos and you see the cat just sort of slowly pushing it like off the fridge? It kind of reminded me of that.
It was that exactly. That's a great call.
Thanks.
Maybe I'm picky. So many fade to black transitions messed up the flow. Yeah, they did like 3 of them. I agree. There was like too many. I used the term dragon valet instead of keeper. Oh, the dragon keepers. Yeah, they are kind of like dragon valets. That's good. I like that. Let's see. Episodes are better and better. Yeah, it was a short but good episode tonight. I thought, well, I don't want to be Captain Brain Down. I thought there were definitely some criticisms as far as how the episode flowed. Some of the dialogue just sort of like dove right into the conversation. The scene-to-scene cutting was a little jerky to me in this episode. So if that's what you're talking about, I agree. Do you guys think we'll get a flashback of Viserys and Balerion? No, I don't think so. I don't know why we would. Am I the only one that's... I mean, I would love to see Patty back, but I don't think so. Am I the only one that's proud of Aegon? No, probably. He chose to die like a man than live like a coward. I guess. I just see more flailing. You know, more like... I'm confused and I feel small, and so I'm going to do something. I'm going to go with my dragon and I'm going to show him. Like, that's what I saw. So, I don't know what there is to be proud of, but I guess he went into battle. That's courageous. I mean, it's not hiding from battle, but it was dumb. So,
can I ask you guys, what did you think of Gawain this episode?
I don't think of Gawain personally, but Tim.
Yeah, Gawain got a reality check, and that's what's going on. And it seems like but I understand like his way, because Kristen Cole does seem to be like on a suicide mission at times. The way that he is leading things, like this is a man marching towards his own death, and Gawain is scared, and that's why when Kristen Cole like calls him a coward, and he's like, "No, I'm being rational. Like, it's broad daylight. Like, you might as well just play a war horn and signal that we're here."
You're right. He was right. I had his back on that one. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'd say. I'm rational. Yeah. Did he die?
No, I don't think so,
so.
because he could hear him. He could hear him when Sir Kristen Cole gets like the wind knocked out of him, and then he gets
Okay,
up and he
yeah,
can hear
I
him.
thought so.
Or at least I had the subtitles on. But I was going to say, but also Gawain didn't know that Kristen had a plan with the dragon, like lying in wait to, you know. I didn't know that either. Did you? I mean, I don't know that it was in the books. Did you know that the dragon was like laying in the forest somewhere?
Yeah, I mean they were waiting in ambush in the books too, but it was both dragons coordinated together laying in ambush. So I thought this was actually a very interesting change to have Aegon charge in and mess it up. I like that. I think this was cool. Tim, what did you think of the change to that change to how the fight went down?
Yeah, I actually liked this change because the way they've been building up Aegon, it made sense for him to just drunkenly stumble into the battle like that and to throw a wrench into like Aemond and Kristen Cole's carefully laid plans. And now they got to play off of it. And that's another reason why Aemond sits back and waits and sees what happens rather than immediately jumping in and being like, I got to fix this. He's like, no, this is a hiccup, but I'm going to stick to the plan. Maybe it'll work out for us. Maybe it won't. Either way, if he dies, he dies. It's win-win for me.
So apparently our stream has been haunted by some mystery drums that people heard.
I thought that was you.
It might have been, but I don't have any.
I thought you were playing them. You're not playing them right now? I thought it was you.
I thought it was somebody's microphone reverbing.
Does it sound like fingers on a table or like a drum kit? Like,
no, I thought you had like a djembe or something like that. You don't have knee drums?
oh, it was Cleo.
It was Cleo.
Cleo?
I'm sorry. I just turned all the noises that the birds make. I tune out. I don't hear them. She was on the microphone, nibbling on the plastic. Of course, that would be loud as hell.
That's the noise there. That's the noise. Yeah, I thought you were just drumming like you were, as a way to chill out.
Cleo's the ghost in Harrenhal.
Oh, the pink dread strikes
Oh,
again.
that's so cute, though.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
That's
I hope it
adorable.
was not too horrible to listen to. Cleo
No, it
has
was
great
nice.
rhythm.
I
Well,
thought
she
it was-
does.
you were just
She
like-
does have rhythm. Come here, girl.
That's so cute.
Actually, I need to run to the
a
restroom really
sweetheart.
bad.
Okay.
I will
Sure.
I will show you Cleo's rhythm in a second. Let me kick you the next super chat, which we have lots of great questions tonight. And we are very thankful for all these great questions because we didn't want to use this stupid outline anyway. Including some very generous super chats that I appreciate. And we will get to everyone before we log off. Don't worry. Thoughts on Alan and Rhaenys' interaction. That was a great scene. I loved it.
Oh,
Rhaenys
yeah,
knows.
me too.
She's like, oh,
Well-
you thought I didn't know about your little bastard sons. And I'm sorry, if you're calling that a spoiler by now, you need to get sharper eyes because they're spelling it out. So
I feel like it was important that they did it as well before she died. I thought that was very clever to kind of lead the episode with that, and then she passes away at the end. So I thought that was really well done.
So I think that I was wondering whether or not they would clean up, they would keep Corlys's reputation clean by saying, oh, he fathered these two before he married Rhaenys. But if they were going to do that, they would have mentioned it, and they didn't. So I think it's more like Rhaenys is like, yeah, I know when you're away on your long voyage. I know.
She had Catelyn energy there, I felt like.
Yes, she's a
when-
worldly woman and wasn't true. So I thought that was an interesting way to. I think there will be much discussion about that on Twitter. Now that I think about it, this sounds like something people will be upset about. I can't believe Rhaenys was okay with that cheater, Corlys, that pedo cheater. Blah 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 blah. That's what it'll be. Walnut Tim, back me up.
Yeah, because, like I said, I don't think it's a spoiler. I think it should have been pretty obvious from the very second we met Alan who exactly he was supposed to be. Like, I don't
Yeah.
see how anyone could not. If by this point you still haven't picked up that that's his kid, it's like, wow, you're a little slow.
She's touching his face. She's like, "Oh, your mother must have been very beautiful." And then Corlys's face appears right next to his face, and it's like, "Yep, they nailed the casting."
Yeah,
They did. Yeah.
but
I
we've been,
I actually am surprised that people would be surprised because, like, given that it's sort of, a medieval type setting, you can say it's a fantasy show, what have you, but I don't think monogamy is looked at in the same way it is in our, in our current time, right?
Great point. Great point.
Thank you.
That's honestly the answer here. It's not that indicative of Rhaenys' character at all. It's more reflective of the society that they're in, and it is very Catelyn-like. And it's kind of like, yeah, don't make an issue out of it. And yeah, but now she's kind of saying, well, look, a lot of both of our children are dead. A lot of people are dying. It's a war out there. He's kind of a good kid, isn't he? Like, you should go ahead and promote him. So I think, I mean, it's a little bit of plot convenience. It's like, oh, of course she said that before she died, but it was a good conversation. And now Corlys will feel like he's got her blessing to sort of lift up these two, and they need him. They need him. They need good men for various reasons. So it's very pragmatic. Yes, that's the word.
And also, I think also it's different than, let's say, if he had brought home the baby and said, okay, we need to raise this baby.
Which would have
but they're grown
embarrassed
men,
him.
right?
Yeah.
They've been raised by their mother, I'm assuming. So it's a sort of different situation. And also there's this love between them. I mean, despite it, we saw that in the last episode, they were in bed together. They had the way they, they were on, I think when they were on, I don't know, it was like the construction site, whatever you would call that, the ship site. And they're both like
picnic at the construction site. It was
to
very
each other, like,
relatable.
pillow talk, they're just adorable. Like, they truly are. So I feel kind of like they had some good closure before she went off, and also I think, like you said, that she's given her blessing. And I think even though it was maybe not the best scene, I think that it was necessary.
I think their relationship, now that we sort of seen the sum total of it, because Rhaenys is gone now, it felt very real. It felt like a real relationship, two people that have been married for a long time. For the most part, I think it was written pretty well. And yeah, enjoying both characters. So, Tim, your thoughts on Alan and Corlys and Rhaenys, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because we've been Adamless for 2 episodes now, and we didn't get any Alan last time, so we only got like this small snippet with Alan. But yeah, the fact that they address it, that I guess they are leading into that. No, this did not happen before Corlys married Rhaenys. That these kids were, well, when they were kids, they must have been born at some point during their marriage. But Corlys has been raising the issue of who is going to be my heir, because Joffrey's only 6 years old and Baela doesn't know anything about ships, but Alan certainly does. He's a shipwright. He's always there in the shipyard. And I'm sure, and more than likely, Adam, being the brother, probably also knows. So it is good that if it feels like he's been given Rhaenys his blessing to go through, to raise them up, to acknowledge them, to take away their bastard name, make the if they turn from Waters to Velaryon or whatever, or if they are going to stick with the names of Hull and take that title. But yeah, like, it makes sense for Corlys' story, and yet to be given the green light by Rhaenys before she makes her exit I think it's going to give Corlys that peace of mind in making that decision later on.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of talk about how the various candidates for heir to Driftmark don't sail. So there's this guy that looks the part. Just saying. Well, we'll see. Definitely love those two. Like, I talked about it in my Dragon Scenes video. Adam Velaryon is to stand out in Fire and Blood because he ride.
Oh,
Spoiler.
It's hard. Look, I'm sorry. We're 2 hours in.
It is hard. Chat, you show watchers only, you do not know how hard it is for us to constrain our knowledge of these things. I know occasionally things slip and we apologize, but it is hard working.
Hashtag loyal. That's right. I do apologize. Look, Sea Smoke has been flying by. He's given him like 2 flybys, all right? So, and anyways, my point was Adam is a standout in the book. Alan is, we kind of know he does important things, but you know, he's just, there's less there to latch onto. So I really like how they are developing both brothers. I am very into their characters. I've only had a few lines, but they seem like very real and well-developed people. So I am, I'm going to get murdered in the comments.
Yeah, and the actor who plays Adam, I don't know if anyone saw Raised by Wolves. He was so good in that.
Certainly
He
did.
played his father. Oh, so good in
Isn't
it.
it Al? I thought it was Alan, his father's actor.
Alan, yes.
Oh, sorry, Alan. Sorry, apologies. Yes.
That's how I found Faye Fire's channel. We're Ice and Fire friends now, but I found her because of her Raised by Wolves videos. Because after I watched season 2, I was like, somebody tell me why there's so many holes in the planet. I need to know that. And Faye Fire had the goods, so.
That's awesome.
Let's see. No, I don't think Daemon will be a bastard because he needs Targaryen blood to ride a dragon. So he can't be a bastard unless they want to just break the lore in half, and I don't think they're going to do that. So let's go back to fan funding. I mean, they could, actually. I shouldn't say that after the debacle with Dany's eggs. Debacle. No, I'm kidding. It's a mild eye roll. Whatever. What are your thoughts on Aegon's future? Oh, from Aemond. Aemond, my Instagram friend, Aemond. What's up? What are your thoughts on Aegon's future? Will he be fully in bed, or are we losing the kind of empathetic Aegon we see underneath the impulsive thing? So I think that this will definitely change the character. It has to, because it is going to be such an intense trauma, first of all, and because not much has happened to him. Part of him, like going to the fighting pits, he's searching for meaning. He's searching for something that makes him feel alive. That's why he's doing these extreme things. It's not just running from stuff. And the same thing, that's why he climbed on his dragon. He's bored. All this debating bores him. He wants to feel stimulated. Firing Otto was stimulating. I want to feel that again. I want to do something. I want to take Harrenhal. I want to do something. So that's how I read Aegon. That will change. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. I do think that will change. Heidi, your thoughts. What do you think?
On Aegon? Well, I mean, I can't even imagine the shape he's going to be in. And I think, I know like he'll have to be on painkillers. I'm assuming if
He's going to be coughing that milk of the poppy.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody's ever been in extreme pain. The only time I've been in extreme pain is I had to have a root canal, and I can't imagine like governing or doing anything while I'm in that condition. So I think Aemond, we were talking about this. I think Aemond would have to be what do they call the person who sort of replaces you while you're in ill health? If you're the king.
Regent?
Yeah. Yeah. And as I mentioned, like we saw in that one picture that Aemond is wearing the dagger. So he's got the dagger. So I'm assuming that means he's
or Lord
in
Protector.
Charge.
That could
Lord
be
Protector. Yes. Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah. So I think he will be.
I think that's what Robert's will named Ned. Lord Protector.
Yes, you're right.
Mm-hmm. A regent is actually a council of regents.
Until the children come of age.
Yeah. A regency is the period when there is a king, but he's too young. Right. Sunfire and Aegon were very toothless and hiccup. Big fan of any sort of House of the Dragon or How to Train Your Dragon corollaries. I didn't, it's been a minute since I watched them. I think you're referring to a specific dragon fight. I don't remember. But, yeah. I'm convinced Aemon saw something with the dagger. Otherwise, why is he so concerned with it? He looks at it closely and walks away. Yeah, he might have been sensing something about it. This could just be instincts. He could have been noticing that it was Valyrian steel, but I think he probably would have noticed that before, Cleo. So yeah, I think it is building up to him noticing and discovering the prophecy. It just seems like the interesting thing to do. If it were me, I'd take my dragon to Pentos and forget about the war. My dragon would be first, but that's just me. Oh, we're talking about Rhaenys. Aemond wanted Aegon to die. Yeah, but Rhaenys is honorable. She's sworn to the mission. She can't just fly to Pentos. I'm with you. Like I said, I applauded Laenor. I would opt out of this stuff too.
Yeah. And she volunteered, right? Rhaenyra had offered to go, so she volunteered.
Yeah. Yep. She just saw that she was the best one to do it, and so she stepped up. That's what I think. Like, Rhaenys is doing the honorable and responsible thing. She's got the biggest dragon. She's not a coward. So that's what she does. She's like, yeah, I'll go. That's the character.
Yeah, because I think if Damon had been there, he would have been probably the choice. But because he isn't there, she was the most suitable one.
Right, and somebody asked earlier if it would have made a difference if Baela or Jace was there. I don't think so. They probably would have just gotten killed too. They weren't big enough to make a difference in that fight. We saw those dragons were tangled up. They were hitting each other multiple times and still fighting. Those little dragons would take one hit and they'd be done. So
I was expecting them to make a change that Baela was there, because when we were back before season 2 started, when we were just all we had was the trailer to go on, we see in the trailer Baela on her dragon screaming, and I thought maybe they were going to change Rook rest to make Baela be there, and it's like, oh, she just saw Grandma go down. Grandma got run over by a dragon, and that was going to be her response. So I'm actually surprised she wasn't there. So I don't know where that scene's
I wonder when that's from then.
I guess that's
because it wasn't from last week, right? Because she wasn't.
No, because she didn't scream like that when she was just
She didn't scream. She was. Yeah, she was.
Yeah, so that scene in the trailer must come later.
Pink Dread is pink dreading. I will just say that. Jorah the Explorer. Cleo is a musician. Excuse me. Yes. Apparently so.
She is. She's got rhythm.
Herman Goring apparently named Harrenhal after his mistress, while Harren named Harrenhal after himself. Both castles are brazen monuments to their vanity that have been destroyed and cursed since. That does seem like something George could be referencing. I know he had a place called Harrenhal in one of his previous sci-fi works. And it was and it was literally named after someone in the story called Karen, because it was like a story about, a lot of his sci-fi stories are small groups of people stranded on planets and things, and they've had to like reinvent their culture and stuff like that. It's very, George. But yeah, that seems like the kind of, I think what I'm trying to say is that I think George Martin probably watches all the same war documentaries that my dad does. So I can see him knowing what that reference is. I think he is actually really into World War II, if I recall. Okay.
Medieval history.
He seems like the type.
George or your dad?
Did I feel like I missed a chunk.
Is your dad into World War II as well?
My dad does the same thing that Dave's dad does. I'll just come. There's been so many times where I've come to my parents' place, and my dad's just randomly watching something about World War II. That just seems to be a dad anymore.
Oh yeah, my dad the same. Like he would be reading like books or whatever, Clive Klessler or something like that. Anything to do with World War II.
Yeah, it's just dads of a certain generation. They just
for sure.
Cleo's gonna get back on the drums. No, girl.
Oh, there she goes. She is
dreading. Laurie's insight on Harrenhal in the small council and his thoughts on Damon's mental state untangling is very telling. Well, look, you don't have to be a greenseer to know that Harrenhal is haunted. But I did like the language that Laurie's was saying, where he's like, oh yes, it's, what do you say? It's like he's probably coming unraveled there, and the castle doesn't sit right with people, or I forget what the line was, but it's definitely like he knows that shit is haunted.
Yeah.
And I agree with the Baelish
also-
comparison. Like, these are, if you're smart, you don't go there.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the castle is in a way a character in itself, and it seems to prey on maybe somebody who is conflicted, or like for instance, it seemed to find obviously he does have some guilt about Jacaerys being killed, and it preys on your insecurities. It preys on your, obviously he does have some envy of Rhaenyra. Possibly. I mean, he cut her head off. Like, I don't know. It seems to tap into you in some way. But as you said, also, Alice, I'm sure has some kind of, she's manipulating it as well to a certain extent. I don't know as much about this as you, obviously, you guys, because you know more about the lore, but that's my impression as a watcher.
No, as I think even before we get to Alice, you're exactly right. The castle is a character, and it does prey on you, and that is a psychological thriller kind of a trope. And think about Simon Strong and Alice Rivers. Simon Strong comes across as a very well-balanced person. He's not like Damon comes in all rough and he's like, you want some peace? Like, he's very chill. He doesn't seem like a guy that has a lot of inner turmoil. And he's very frank with his assessment of Laurie's and the murder of his family. He's like, he tells Damon straight up, he's like, yeah, this is what happened. So like, and then you have Alice Rivers, who's obviously like, she's on top of this whole thing. She likes a haunted place. She revels in it. She uses that power. So these are the type of people that can survive in Harrenhal. And you're absolutely right. Somebody with a lot of inner conflict and turmoil, they're easy prey for this haunted castle. That's great analysis, Heidi. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Well, the other thing is, when I watched it, the last episode, I didn't even know if Alice was even there, like, because we haven't seen another character acknowledge her. So I was like, is she just presenting herself in his mind, or is she physically there? Did anyone else acknowledge her?
She was in the background of the very first scene, I think, when he met some of the castle people.
Yeah, he saw her, but did anyone else address her? That's why I was wondering if she's actually
she's definitely
physically
there. But in any given scene, I guess we don't know if he's dreaming or not. But I mean, she's not a ghost, I don't think. I don't think. She's real in the books.
I don't know. I was just wondering, because, like, I mean, she could be projecting herself, is what I'm saying. She could be physically, like, a physical being, not, but she could be projecting herself, I guess, is what I was wondering.
Yeah, because you are right. Yeah, Damon is the only one to actually interact with her. When she first steps into the room, everyone else is kneeling to Damon. She's the only one to not kneel. Nobody looks at her or acknowledges her. It seems more like their focus is more on Damon, so we can write it off like that. But yeah, even in this episode, Simon Strong doesn't say anything. No maids, nothing. No one else in that castle has any interaction with her besides Damon. He's the only one to speak with her. So that is a little weird.
We'll have to wait and see. I really think they are intentionally cutting up all this stuff so that we are experiencing it from Damon's perspective. And
yeah, that makes sense to me.
We're not sure how much the other people in the room are aware of Damon tripping. You know what I mean? Like, they're kind of just trying to hold up the conversation. Also, because he's a lord. If a highborn lord acts weird, you kind of pretend not to notice sometimes. So, yeah, I think that we'll just probably, as this thing unravels, it will become more and more apparent. I'm enjoying the uncertainty and the fragmentation of it all. So, yeah, she's dead.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but it's only we're only 4 episodes in. We're not even we're just halfway. We still have another 4 episodes to go for the season.
From what we know of her in the books, she can't be dead. She has to be a real person. So I think that she is real. I just think in any given scene, she might be a projection in Damon's mind, just like Lena is. So yeah, we don't. That I'll agree with. Let's see here. Okay. Argon. Might be so burned that he feels nothing. Might be an interesting development. Well, we'll just have to see. I think there will be some kind of change in character. And I know that Tom will eat up whatever they give him. He's probably going to be laid up for a hot second, though. So we might not see a whole lot of him for the rest of the season. It's just going to be some awful reveal about whatever disfigured state he's in. And then he'll whisper a few words through bandages, and that's probably about it.
Speaking of that, like, wasn't that really cool when Kristen went up to that one soldier? He thought it was a soldier, and he lifted him up, and it was just all ash within it. I thought that was really powerful. It was just the armor. Yes, exactly.
I knew he was going to be dead, but I didn't know he was going to be ash.
Yeah.
The giant ashtray. Yeah, that was unexpected.
Now that Aemond has Viserys' dagger, would he? Oh, okay. I guess we've already. He asked that question a while ago. Let's see. It's when Toothless is holding Hiccup after Hiccup is maimed. First movie. Aegon would also like to know about the dragon-proof armors. Yeah, he would.
They did, actually, I thought they did a really good job in that in the cartoon about that in the animated movie, because what he does is he paints. I think he paints the armor with some kind of like spit or something from the dragon, and then he has the dragon fire it. And I was like, that's actually brilliant.
They should do that. They're great movies. They're great in every sense. They're great movies. I've only seen them once, so I don't know them like as well as some people, but they are very good. Let's see here. Honestly, want to move to Harrenhal to live out my goth witch dreams. 10 out of 10. Will move in tomorrow. Sistlin, cut from the same cloth as Alice Rivers, apparently.
It's so damp, though. You'd have to get like a dehumidifier and like a bunch of buckets and stuff to deal with all the drips.
A lot of buckets, yeah. Forget walking around in your
Can't
socks.
Start a fire.
You know.
Yeah. No carpet. It's all gonna get moldy.
No, everything would be musty.
I will say that Alice's little apothecary was the most comfortable and homey room that we have seen in the castle yet. See, the way Aegon said thank the gods right before Aemond betrayed him was a little too much to handle. Grade A scumbag behavior. Well, I think they are doing a good job of creating a scenario where you can sort of see both sides of it. Like, you can see why Aemond is pissed, because it's like, my stupid little brother, I'm trying to win my war for him, but he's got to show up and prove himself. Okay, so you see why he's pissed off. But you also see why Aegon is pissed off, because they're plotting behind his back, and he's the king. He should do something. Maybe not that, but something. And then, yeah, he did his Aemond's duty once he saw, let's say the obvious thing, his duty was to then fly into the air and join Aegon and protect his king. To let Aegon go into battle by himself was treacherous and dishonorable. So when I say Aegon had it coming, I'm saying Aegon poked the bear. He's been teasing the bear for a long time. That's dumb. It doesn't mean Aemond is justified. It means that from Aegon's point of view, that was dumb to poke the bear. However, yes, it was dishonorable. It was treacherous. He's a villain. That's why I'm saying a villain is born, because that wasn't honorable. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
I do wonder, though, if he's been thinking about it, if he's been thinking about what if I could be king. He must have been thinking about it.
I'm sure he thinks about it every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Aegon not knowing Valyrian and then saying, thank the gods, i.e. the faith of the seven, when Aemond shows up. Oh, I didn't even catch that. Yeah. Not a very good Valyrian, yeah. Because the Valyrians, the Targaryens are only supposed to pretend to honor the faith. We go and pray to the Sphinxes, which are the gods, by the way, in private. So, let's see. Yep, that was good character work. Is Daenerys the only Targaryen that can't burn? Yes, that was a miraculous event, Trey Diaz. George has clarified that's not something Dany can do anytime she wants. That was something of a miracle. I do think the Targs are a little bit heat resistant, and I think that makes sense because they're lizard people. Specifically, they have dragon blood in their veins. But yeah, that was a miracle. So yes, Targaryens get burned. Many have. Aerion drank wildfire. That did not work. Hopefully he'll actually look wrecked and not toned down like they did with Tyrion in Game of Thrones. Well, judging by Viserys, I don't think that's how this costume department rolls. Question for you, Costume Co. What did you think of Rhaenys and Aegon's armors?
Well, Rhaenys armor is from last season, and so I thought it was pretty decent. She has a new gambus on, which is the outfit you wear underneath the armor. So I did really love it. I mentioned at the top of the stream, I wasn't crazy about. She's wearing like a French hood, which Rhaenyra wore at the beginning. They did the fealty. It's not a coronation costume, but it's like fealty, and Alicent also wore something similar. So I wasn't crazy about that. I personally liked the Valyrian steel armor. I know a lot of people didn't like it. They said it was ill-fitting, but I think that was on purpose because Aegon the Conqueror was, quite tall and broad-shouldered. He's described as. And also it sort of matched the crown, right? And also the sword. So it's I kind of described it as being sort of a little bit more old fashioned looking. And I know Ryan Condal was saying it's supposed to have come from old Valyria, like not Aegon the Conqueror himself came from old Valyria. I believe he corrected himself. So it is supposed to be quite old. So I thought that it was pretty suitable. And also one of the details I liked on it was on the sleeves. It looked like dragon scales, but they kind of almost look like razor blades. And I thought that was a nice little detail. And you couldn't see it in the pictures I had, but apparently in the behind the scenes, you could see sort of that Damascus steel sort of mark on the Valyrian steel, which is sort of our analog of what Valyrian steel would be.
It looks a lot cooler when you can see the patterning, which you can on behind the scenes.
I couldn't see it in the show. I don't know about you guys, but I couldn't see it in the show.
No, I am not a fan because all the Valyrian stuff is supposed to be very ornate, and they've gone with sort of a brutalist aesthetic for all the Valyrian stuff, including the city, and that is wrong. It should be ornate and curvy, but it is consistent with what they have done. So.
Mm-hmm. There's also something called I kind of found this picture. It's called like a dragon. It's like a dragonfly, and it kind of has the same sort of shape. Like the breastplate has that sort of almost arachnid kind of style. It's supposed to be dragony, I suppose, but it has that sort of shape, like lots of sharp points and everything. So I think they were going with that. But I mean, David, I think I wasn't crazy about the crown to begin with, Aegon's crown. So
no, the crown sucks.
So I thought, well. And but I did like how they put the crown on the helmet, which is historically accurate. So I did really like that. So given what the original design was, I thought it kind of worked together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it did work together. I would say I'm not a fan of either, but I don't want to belabor that. My dad watched this. No. He had no prior knowledge of Song of Ice and Fire or Game of Thrones. He believes Harrenhal is based off Harrenhal. It was the castle of Hermann Göring, who was a major German propagandist of a certain era, 1940s, you know what I'm saying? Like to play Yahtzee, which he filled with all the stolen artwork and riches from the Holocaust. That kind of fits. I was talking about Harrenhal in my Harrenhal videos having Mordor vibes, Orthanc vibes, not Orthanc, Barad-dûr, excuse me. Yeah, so that does make sense. Like I said, it makes sense that George is watching the war documentaries. So, yeah, I don't know anything about that history, but it sounds right when you say it. So, yeah, and like I said, he called his Harrenhal, but with a K-A-R, like this named after somebody named Karen. So, originally, I guess that is closer to that. So I guess that's confirmed. I didn't think that all the way through, but yeah, it's an interesting change. Like, oh yeah, there was this person named Karen and we named our hall after her. And it's like, well, in the real world, Karen wasn't she played Yahtzee.
And it was it in Germany? This Harrenhal?
German Yahtzee. That's exactly what we're talking about. Sunfire is a 20-year-old doughboy dragon, and Meleys is a 50-year-old seasoned war veteran. Aegon should have known he never had a chance. Well, yeah, Sunfire is big for his age, but yeah, not the biggest dragon. It was pretty dumb for him to just fly down there. But it's consistent with the character. And that's why I talked about this 2 weeks ago when I compared Damon and Aegon and said that they both had this need for dramatic action to resolve tension. if they feel confused or weak or frightened or anything, they have to do something violent and decisive. And so that is what we saw him do. And I think, oh God, we're so close. That was the one I'm not reading. That's right. It was an inappropriate super chat. I did not ban you, but you are warned. That was not appropriate. And you knew that when you typed it, in fairness. Harrenhal, the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. Yep, basically. Like I said, many movie tropes coming together there, but that's one of them. I sent a longer one, Jake says. Also, do we have all the same dad? Yes, we do, of a certain age. Let's see if I can find it, Jack. It better not be the inappropriate one that I just yelled at. Watch it be that one.
I mean,
he said longer. That one was short. No, that was Joshua Wright. Joshua Wright, you're on thin ice. It wasn't that bad. Jack, I think you're going to... Oh, I got that one. I think you're going to have to repeat it. Sam. Oh, I read that one. Hardingham works well, though. That way I can tell which ones I've done. It must be way back. Yep, I saw that one. Saw that one. Sorry, Jack. It slipped through the cracks. If you want to repeat your question in the chat and tag me, I'll try to get it. Tina of the Tower. Aemond can claim he was separating Sunfire and Meleys. Shoot the hostage style. Yeah. I just think he's just going to shrug and be like, dragons, he shouldn't have been there. Stuff happens. He wasn't really asked to explain about Luke ever. So, all right. I think we're caught up, dude. Wow. You guys are incredible. So yeah, Jack, if you want to try to repeat your question in the chat, I'll get to it. Tim, I feel like I haven't heard from you in a minute.
Yeah, we're going through all the super chats. And now we just got another one. Last episode, the Dragon Keepers had fresh scars and burns on their faces as if they had just wrangled the small dragons. The costume department is Aegon will be torn to shreds. Huh. I didn't notice that detail. I guess I was too focused on knowing that Stormcloud was in his giant cat carrier from last episode, and then focusing on the eggs in the broiler.
I missed the cat carrier completely.
Yeah. We hear she says Stormcloud is. There's two things. There's the big broiler that has the 4 eggs. One is little Viserys's, and I guess the showrunners say the other 3 are Dany's. Hate it. I like the Alyssa Farman story a lot better. But then there's a second thing we see guys coming out on. It's like this big box, this big metal box with poles, and you hear like and that's Stormcloud. Little baby Stormcloud is inside of there. And I said, it reminds me of every time I have to take Damon to the vet when I put him in his cat carrier and he's gonna meow and he's gonna yowl the entire way to the vet's office. That was Stormcloud.
Aww.
This is a great question from Daisy. What will be the implications of Rhaenyra telling Jace of Aegon's prophecy? Great scene cinematically, but how will it affect Jace's arc? So we saw a little bit of angry, ready to go to war Jace this week. He's been sort of building up that, like, I want to do something, but he's the crown prince. So he's not just someone who's like, I want to do something. He's like, I'm the crown. I should be doing something, actually. And he's got a pretty decent-sized dragon. So, I don't know. Let me think about this. It should add extra sense of responsibility. Like, I can't just throw my life away or do something risky. Acknowledge that this war is based on something greater than him. We didn't see him sort of think to Cregan Stark, talking about death being beyond the wall, but maybe that will occur to him at some point. What do you think, Tim?
Well, what was it again?
Just the implications of Jace learning about the prophecy. How's that going to affect his character?
Oh, yeah, because that has been a running question I've had ever since they dropped this Aegon's prophecy thing, which is, when is the knowledge lost? So Jace having, and that is because Aegon, we've said Aegon doesn't know about it at all. Aemond might learn about it. He might have just picked up that knife and just been like, oh, cool knife, but then notice something about it. But yeah, now Jace has that knowledge, but I'm not sure what exactly he's going to do with it. Because we didn't get Sarah Snow. We didn't get much of Jace at Winterfell, so I'm not sure what the situation where he could apply that knowledge to is going to crop up. Unless we get more Cregan or something.
Yeah, we got a whole lot of nothing with that, to be honest. Was a little bummed about that. But let's see. Did Alice feed Damon weirwood paste? Jack Lewis, we talked about this earlier. I doubt it, but I just want to go back and look. She was whipping up some sort of concoction that's obviously making him trip. In the books, the only time someone is given weirwood paste is Bran. And he's given it specifically to awaken his powers. And I strongly believe that weirwood paste is made of Jojen brains. Jojen is himself a green dreamer. So it seems like that sacrifice of Jojen was important in order to awaken Bran's gifts. So I do not think that weirwood paste is something you just give somebody to make them trip. I think it is something you give to a green seer to awaken their gifts. So it is very important whether or not that was weirwood paste. But I'm just going to have to go back to the scene and look at it again. I'm actually trying to find it right now in order for us to know. Because we got to look. We saw her prepare the drink is what I'm trying to say. So we'd have to look at what's on her table and stuff.
Maybe we should make that the next poll question. Was it weirwood paste that she fed him?
Oh, let's get a... Yeah, let's... Nobody knows, but let's take the poll. So... Sure. Maynard Plum, if you're listening. You guys are killing me. Tim.
I know, you don't like it, but I love it.
You're mad, man.
My interpretation, yes, is that it was definitely weirwood paste.
My interpretation is it definitely wasn't. I don't know if I'll be able to find the scene quickly here. I don't have the green light from HBO like Alt-Shift-X to just show all the scenes from the friggin' show right afterwards. Like,
yeah, I think they get greenlit or something.
Oh, they're
or whitelisted. I think that's what they call it.
They've got something. Oh, it won't let me see right now because we're streaming.
And
it's blacked out because it's got the protections. So I will have to look later. Yeah, it's hard to recall.
It's hard when you've just watched the show. Just there's so much information, and then just to try and remember all the details.
I'm turning the stream off if you guys don't bail me out. That was not weirwood paste. Chat, I'm disappointed in you. Tim, you are starting rumors. I'm gonna have to make a debunking video.
Oh, it's delicious. I love it. Yes. I know to some it sounds obscene.
What color is
Damon's dreams are turning green. But I'll
color is
sit
the
in my
paste usually?
delight.
Let me ask you this, Tim. Riddle me this. Sorry, no, keep singing.
The visions and the dreams number past 3, a pattern set in the halls of Harren.
Heresy by thought, heresy by deed, heresy by word, heresy by song, heresy by draught. You are convicted, sir. 5 counts of heresy. Look, I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Why is Bloodraven half Blackwood if any Dragon Lord can just be a Green Seer? Still waiting for any sort of answer, even just an attempt.
Well, I got about, 13 hours till the video goes live? You're taking up a gray area. I'm just supplying her with more bullets.
Your blood makes you a Green Seer, said the Children of the Forest to Bran. It's important. You have to have the right blood to be a Green Seer, and there's no indication that Dragon Lords can be Green Seers, because if they could, Bloodraven wouldn't have to be half Blackwood, and George wouldn't have gone to all the lengths to spell out House Blackwood as this house that's close to the old gods, thus giving us a reason, an explanation for why Bloodraven could green see.
You know, for a guy who's so up on the symbolism, I'm surprised that you don't focus on the Triskelion in the Massey sigil.
Oh, House Massey they can piss off. They're
Well,
nothing. They're nothing. They're nobody to anyone. Nobody. There's no important Massey in the story. Justin Massey. Yeah, he's important.
It's not the Massey. It's the
Oh, Gray
Triskelion.
heard me. Gosh, now I'm embarrassed. Gray, I love you. I'm sorry.
You'll just have to wait. Again, I did some research on the Triskelion, and I talk about it in the symbol. In you know me, how every time I say the sigils tell a story all their own. So I went a digging on the Massey sigil, and when I figured out the Triskelion, I wrote a whole 2 extra paragraphs that even Gray didn't get to see. They were a last-minute addition. So you'll just, yeah.
What is the
I know
sigil?
things too, Dave.
Tim, I will share your video, and I already shared Gray's video earlier. I will share it again, and I will tell you to go watch it and make up your own mind so that you can enjoy my consternation more fully. But I can't believe Gray came. Oh, I feel busted. I feel so busted right now. I'm ashamed.
That's because Gray's waiting on that new ammo shipment tomorrow before she goes and writes her next one.
I'm going to end up deleting my channel over this. I'm going to make a debunking video. Everybody's going to cancel me, and I'm going to end up working at Guitar Center again, all because of House Massey.
Did you see the SpongeBob meme on Twitter that I posted of us?
The what?
And it's a SpongeBob meme of it's Squidward in a dark corner watching Patrick and SpongeBob outside of his window. And I marked it as all 3 of us. You're Squidward. Me and Gray are carrying Damon and Caraxes in full-on joy.
Just send it to me. I'm always here for roasting and meme work. Speak my truth. Thank you, May. I'm trying. That's all I want to do is just argue a little bit.
Sorry,
So,
Heidi.
65% is wrong and
I was
thinks it
going
was
to
weird
say
paste.
that their sigil is really ugly. House Massey. It's like 3 spirals. It's so
Yeah,
it's really
a
ugly.
Triskelion.
Yeah,
Did
it's
you say it was
pretty
ugly?
Yeah.
It's a triescalon. It's a sacred symbol.
Not the symbol itself. The colors, like it's green, red, and like a blue. Like
It's the
I don't know,
trident.
on
For
a
the
gray
trident.
background.
Yeah, it's
For
the
the
colors
trident.
of the trident. Green, red, and blue.
Yeah, the House Massey sigil is a very important sigil. It's got lots of symbolism. It's talking about magic. The trident is a big clue about how magic works in Ice and Fire. It's deep commentary on the stuff. The point is, Tim, the rivers have branched. Red, green, and blue are different forks. They have a common source of mana, but they are different rivers now. And one cannot stride 2 rivers at once. I've lost the metaphor. Anyways, all right. So
I don't know.
Well, I'm going to look
Maybe
it up
yours
in my book of heraldry. I don't think
I
I haven't seen anything like that in my book of heraldry. I'm going to look it up later.
I said
it's from
we're fighting-
Danu, the famous goddess Danu, one of the oldest goddesses in Proto-European mythology. You find her everywhere from India to Europe. She is a river goddess. The name Dani is drawn from Danu. The Vedic Danu is the mother of Eritrea, the 3-headed dragon. So it's very on the nose. And then Dani, of course, is stormborn and has a lot of watery symbolism. So that's all Danu stuff. And she carries a water bowl that usually has the triescalon on it. So it is, what is it a symbol of? Just, it's like,
the Triskelion.
yeah, but what does it refer to? This the triple
Oh, it has
goddess or something else?
It has multiple. Yeah, that's one of them. I guess I'll just give you a little tidbit in the video tomorrow. I'll actually go through 3 because the Triskelion dates back all the way to the Neolithic era, and so over the ages, it's come to have numerous different meanings. Sometimes it can represent birth, life, and death. It can represent sky, water, and land, and it also can represent. It also has triple goddess imagery of the mother, the maiden, and the old wise woman, which I then refer back to the mother, maiden, crone, and the faith of the 7.
Right. And of course, birth, life, and death tracks onto those 3 stages. So, yeah. Well said. Hey, Michael talks about stuff. Oh, you're killing me. Rewatching that scene, and that sure does look like weirwood paste. I'm going to delete my channel. Here I come. Guitar Center, here I come. All right. All right. It's show canon. Show canon only. That's going to be the hill that I die on. In the
I know. I figured that was going to come too. Like, a different canon. It doesn't count.
I'm trying to resist that one. I just want to argue the...
Me and you were fighting like an old married couple, and Heidi just has to be in the middle of it.
As long
I
as
don't
you know
mind
that,
it.
no matter how frustrated I look, it is still in good fun. It's just how my face does it.
Well, I said season 3, we'll come back to this, and I'll remind you of the day that you left the toilet seat up.
Oh, then my joy will turn to ashes in my mouth, and I will know the debt is paid. Isn't that right? Okay. I think we have reached the end of the stream. It has been 3 hours. I really need to go get Goose out of the room. He's dying.
Yeah,
So
I have work in the morning.
Aww.
I think Minty Maelstrom has enjoyed the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, because, man, it's like without Nettles, I have more freedom to just scream. That's what
I want Nettles back. She was my safety blanket. Kept you in line.
Because she kept me in check.
That's right. I didn't tell Heidi she was supposed to do that, in fairness. Any meaning of Aemon also being half Blackwood? You mean Maester Aemon? Well, no, because he hasn't manifested any Greenseer skills. Now, has he? So the question is, does Dany being half Blackwood matter? Because she was the first one to awaken the dragon's eggs. So maybe that's,
Well, Aemon does say, like, him and his brothers all dreamt of dragons, and for his brothers, it killed them all. Because he's got that Dane Blackwood cocktail of blood that Dany has.
Kimberly says, I will die in this place. Yes, this is exactly where I have come to die. Harrenhal's Godswood. Like Damon. All right. Well, once again, if you want the Damon Greenseer theory, it's on Gray Area's channel, along with many other good theories, most of which I agree with and endorse. Like if you haven't watched her Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn playlist, that's like one of George's biggest influences, and it lines up with a lot of the deep magic theories that we talk about here. So that is incredible. All Gray's videos are incredible. And Gray, honestly, if you're still watching, it's just cool to see you making tons of videos again, because I think you were doing real life stuff for a while, and now you're slamming. So that is cool. We're all happy with that.
Also,
she is
Gray. I believe Gray said Obsidian Nights podcast coming back in August. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're still here, Gray Area, but yeah, like lots of good things to look forward to on her channel.
Yep, and for you guys who are newer in the fandom, you're lucky. Like, enjoy the fact that people like Gray Area, I will humbly say myself, other people who've been here for a long time, we can be a little craggy sometimes, talking about the book canon and this and that, Westeros.org, but like, we really do try to be custodians of this shit and try to, like, bring the new people in and show them all the cool mysteries and all the fun arguments that we've been having and stuff. So Gray is a treasure. And, it's nice to have fresh blood like Michael talks about stuff and Gray Waste Tim. And, it's kind of fun. It's been 12 years since we've had a book. So this fandom is a very unique thing in a very unique place. Watching somebody write a series in real time, picking apart the theories in real time. Like, most people would have written the other books by now. We wouldn't have had so much time to figure all this shit out. So... yeah, it's wild. It's fun. I'm just glad to be a part of it. I appreciate all y'all content creators and people in the chat sending so many super chats tonight. So final thoughts on the episode, Heidi and then Tim.
Well, I really liked it. I think probably for the season, it was my favorite episode. And I give it do you guys score? What do you do it out of?
Sometimes.
Out of 10. Usually out of 10.
Out of 10? Oh, but do you have a name for it? Like,
give us your number.
Or... Okay, I'm going to say 9. out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 9. I'm gonna go with a 9 out of 10.
So I rated episode 2. I thought was the best episode of House of the Dragon so far. So I will call that one like a 9.5 or like a 9.7, 9.5. I'll say. This one to me was about
Rhaenyra the
8.5.
Cruel.
What's that?
Oh, okay. Rhaenyra the Cruel. That's your favorite? Yeah.
Yeah,
that's George's favorite.
the
Dialogue in that.
The dialogue was like several levels up. It's almost was so good that the last 2 episodes have seemed like clunky dialogue to me because of how good it was there. And Rhaenyra in particular, a character who doesn't really move me that much in a lot of these episodes. I was very moved by her and found her very compelling and made my whole video about Rhaenyra that week. So she really benefited from having better lines to act. I'm blurring my... Rhaenyra's character benefited a lot by having... Her character was more relatable by having those lines. Emma, as an actor, of course, not she, but they, benefited as well from having something to work with because Emma is a Shakespearean stage actor. And so you saw when given that sort of material, it was like, oh my gosh, who is this? Like, I was very drawn into the dynamic of Damon and Rhaenyra and the way that she broke down all of his like illusory stuff. I just love that. My life, I've dealt with a lot of people that deal with manipulation and thought control and all this stuff. So when someone can powerfully stand up to a manipulator and be like, no, you say that, but that's not what you do. That's not what you mean. You actually mean this. You actually care about this. So that to me was just like all the setup of the whole season was like paying off in that moment. So I loved that. That was a 9.5. So this episode is like, 8.5 for me. I thought some things were clunky. The dragon fight was really good. And the battle was cool, but some of the other stuff, I didn't want to bore everyone with my little critiques, but 8.5. Tim, your thoughts and rating.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going with 9 out of 10. I do like, the dream sequences are they're holding my interest. Again, just how everyone's getting a lot more fleshed out than what we got in the book. So adding a more magical element, whether it is Alice just screwing around with him or whether there is more to it. But yeah, because Damon is a guy who definitely has like a misspelled no regrets tattoo somewhere, but is actually full of regrets. But you notice one thing that didn't come up was Rhea Royce. He is totally at peace with the divorce rock. So sometimes it's a little hard about what exactly to really see exactly what do you really feel bad about. And other murders, like, no, I'm totally okay with that. I sleep like a baby with that murder.
But I love my grandfather. Have you heard about divorce rock?
I guess there's I don't know, maybe he puts the line at child murder but I don't know.
That's inheritance pillow. Put the pillow down, get your inheritance.
That's so funny.
Instead of it's like you find a tooth, and then you find a coin under your pillow for the tooth fairy. It's a little different, kind of like that. All right, guys. Well, there it is. It was a good episode. It was powerful. Definitely like the dragon fight. You can see that future dragon fights will be very emotional and upsetting, and we'll be right here to counsel you through, like always. So thanks for coming out. And I don't even know what I'm going to make my video about this week. Black Goat Explained. Featuring Tim from the Tim channel. Similarities between Damon and the Black Goat. Why the Black Goat is a green seer. Sorry, I'll stop. I'm done. All right, guys. Love you. See you soon. Thank you, Tim. Great Ways Tim channel. Heidi, Costume Co. channel. You guys are great.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the super chats. So, cheers.
Thanks for having me.